You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
He went into the bullpen. He's in the groove. So much better. So much better, I swear. I hit the scoreboard there for a minute.
Good morning. Welcome in. Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. DB is off coaching football. He'll be back.
How dare he?
He'll be back tomorrow, I believe.
Where are they at today?
Team camp.
Oh, yeah, that's
Westside
right.
team camp. So he'll be back tomorrow. He sends his regards and his regrets for not being here.
Yeah. And we're talking baseball today.
He was bummed out. He was bummed out that he wasn't going to make it. Not just because we were talking baseball, but I think we're starting to get to the time of year where he's starting to have some fun, and football's right on the horizon. Did you watch the home run derby at all?
So I tweeted out last night that I was watching film, and it was just like the 1996 Super Bowl of the Packers Patriots. But then I did flip over because so it was the same thing you had mentioned yesterday. I had the same thought that went to my head that I had thought to myself, there's something I'm missing tonight. Like, what am I missing?
There's something I should be doing.
I just instinctively was like, well, my best case is to flip from YouTube TV and go through all of the other channels and apps to see what I need to get to. And I chose Netflix first, and then the big home run derby. I was like, oh, yeah. Hold on, let me get on that.
That is the only reason I knew that the home run derby was yesterday, was because Netflix put it on every giant screen. I think I have a hot take though for the home run derby.
Oh, I have a hot take on Netflix, but it's mild, so please go ahead.
Boys, I think steroids are back in baseball.
Let's go.
I think they're back.
I'm pro steroid.
I am too in baseball.
In baseball.
What makes you believe that steroids are back?
Okay, so a couple things. I've had this
also Philly is back, but we can get to that.
Suspicion for a few years now, as the home run totals have started creeping up, and they're like, oh, it's the torpedo bats, or it's we fixed the ball, or whatever, right?
Torpedo bats were so fun for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God,
we've changed baseball.
How did we never think of this before? And now it's
I love how the Yankees got torn apart. Then everybody was using torpedo bats. Everybody's like, oh yeah, it's fine. And then the home run totals started dropping. Like it wasn't like
coming back to normal. Yeah.
Historic pace. And it was like, and then nobody talked about torpedo bats after that.
I'm just saying we've seen a steady increase in home runs over the last few years in terms of the home run leaders. But what really sealed it for me last night, and listen, I'm not trying to disparage the young man, Jordan Walker, the winner from St. Louis. I don't know if you saw that dude's forearms. Those were some McGuire forearms.
Big old forearms.
My guy.
Kind of sometimes outside of people being dads, sans Rico, forearms are like a dead giveaway a lot of times.
So there's three things that I look for when I'm looking at a steroid user.
Pimpleback?
Besides that. 4
things.
I mean, just like in terms of muscular build, right?
Yeah.
Because there are other things, right? But forearms, and then this might be 1 or 2 depending on traps and shoulders.
Yeah.
Traps are a dead giveaway. And shoulders like really cap out when you have that is just in a way that's not really possible for normal people.
No one ever says this about people's calves.
So
no one's ever juiced and been like, look at those calves.
You've got enough people that are just like, those calves are insane. Like there's certain professions and stuff where like you're just like, or some people just genetically are like, what's going on with that dude's calves? Like what's happening there?
Well, it's the dudes in high school who are just bouncing on the balls of their feet.
Yes,
just always
all the time.
Jumping around, doing that thing.
I think the other part was with Jordan Walker. He's a good baseball player. He's at 22 home runs this year, which, I believe is his career high at the All-Star break. So that's not suspicious or anything. But what I will say is it was just watching the swings, right? Like it felt like, and I get he's a big dude, right? He looked like a tight end. Like he basically looks like another version of Aaron Judge size-wise. But he's just real casual, just like he's barely swinging at some of those things, and they are just rocket ships. And I go, that's looking a little late 90s steroid era-y for me, and I'm in.
Listen,
I'm here for it.
I'm pros. Now, the steroid games were a huge wash. I hated those. Those were lame.
Those are stupid.
But
in
Home
general,
run derby?
steroids in baseball, I am here
Yeah.
for. Also, listen, not for nothing, we have been watching velocity. We forget about pitchers. We have been seeing velocities.
It is true.
Creep up year after year after year.
People be throwing over 100 a lot.
Like a lot.
Mhm.
Just
And consistently.
Just every reliever comes out pumping 102. And I was like, yeah, that's normal.
I'm just saying, if you're throwing a ball 103 5 times in a row, that's not natural.
Yeah, baseball's starting to get back into,
And I love it for what it's worth.
It's starting to get back into like this is a cultural moment type of thing. Like home run derby. Obviously, we're leading off a show with that. I haven't done that. And the 2 years I've been a producer here, I don't think that we've done that so far. And on top of that, too, what you mentioned with the closers, I feel like the MLB is starting to figure out, hey, if we show off some of the cool stuff, maybe people will be interested in our league again. And when they have like the cool closer walkouts and all that other stuff, or they're, not showcasing every single first pitch from the family that bought tickets for the third row for the 30th season in a row, all that sort of stuff. They have gotten it kind of figured out now. Now, the hardest part is they have to sustain this over time, right? The other good part is the MLB is really good with their throwbacks. They are excellent with their throwbacks.
I do also think I think the watchability and the cultural moment you're talking about does have a lot to do with the pace of play changes they made a few years ago. Like that made baseball. And listen, I grew up loving baseball. It got into a point where it's like, I might check in for a couple innings, but like I can't settle in for 4.5 hours, when just on a random Tuesday night. And so the pace of play rules have helped out a ton there. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not even really kidding. Like, I think there's been a shift. Maybe it's like the peptides we get from Next Gen, like it's legal and they don't test for them. I don't know. When I say steroids, I mean
it's like Brad Cushing working out too hard.
I mean a very broad term, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking necessarily about anabolic steroids, unless I'm talking about Yannick Sinner, in which case it was in fact anabolic steroids. But you've got peptides, you've got all sorts of different supplements that either they don't test for or that didn't exist 10 years ago. Like I think they're having another moment here because, I mean, we saw a catcher hit 60 home runs last year. We've seen Judge at or flirt with 60 home runs multiple times. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's a normal size human being.
Yeah. He's 6'8", 500 pounds of pure muscle. All those home runs are
hits in a baby ballpark, so that's fine.
So it's fine.
That's true. It's that I thought they moved their stadium to Pennsylvania where the Little League World Series was.
The baby ballpark doesn't matter for him. He's hitting at 500 feet.
Well, I mean, if you're hitting inside of a baby gap, then yes, it does make a little bit of a difference compared to everybody else who's hitting an
his
old
are going
baby.
way. Everybody else, like those numbers are fine. His home runs are going way past baby ballpark.
Yeah, you're right, and it's really showed in the postseason too. I'm sure that he's become like this phenomenal postseason hitter too.
No, there's bugs.
There's testing in the postseason.
Interesting.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, and I'm sure in like World Baseball Classics and stuff, he's really performed too, right?
It's the temperature.
Ah, yes, Captain America. It's fantastic.
We should retire that name.
We really should retire. Captain America needs to be done.
I'm just saying,
can't give that to Pulisic. Can't give that to Judge. Gotta move on.
You could give it to a hockey player, either gender. I don't know who.
Hockey was a little controversial this past year after the gold.
Okay,
we were happy with them, and then after the gold, we were like, whoa.
Then we're like, okay, we're done now.
Maybe don't take that phone call.
I also think it's really funny that Rico is like, yeah, he can't be on steroid. He hits them too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. He must not be on steroids.
Incredible argument, Rico.
Big guy, not
Rico
steroids.
hasn't been to like a barbell gym in a couple of months, has he?
He's too muscular. No way he's on steroids.
I have not.
That guy just benched 515. No way.
I've seen that many a time. Totally natural.
To be fair, too, that is one of the best parts of either A, being in high school, or B, just going to like a recreational gym when you're like an adult. Because the minute you grow up, you look back and you realize, oh, a lot of these people were just juiced.
Yeah,
just
you look at these guys that you were impressed by who were putting up like 6 plates and were like pimple faced, and you're just like, that guy's so strong.
And can we just admit as a society that doing steroids for just recreational use, just to get big, kind of a loser move, right? Like you gain nothing from it.
I won't go so far
unless you were putting needles in your butt.
I wasn't.
Neck vein. You just
you just tie it off. That's
whoa, hey, whoa!
You smacking your elbow pit trying to get that vein to pop up.
No,
I know your number's low today, but there's no reason for that.
So loser move is a little aggressive. I will say it's pointless.
That's what I'm saying.
But like loser,
Oh, so mine was too mean.
it's a little aggressive, you know.
Hold on, I'm gonna check chat. I'm sure Kobe's yelling at me already.
I will say, I mean, I never used steroids. I experimented with some things that were of questionable, but I never did no needles. Yeah. I get my fill of needles with the BDs. I don't
fair.
need extra needles in my life.
When I was a freshman at UNK, we lived in these suites, which sound great, but they're not. And it was like 2 to a room, and then you shared a bathroom. And all 4 of us decided that we were going to try to order steroids. And we got them from some, I don't know, website, which was whatever.
Probably not real.
And it came in a pill form, and they were like, only take 1 a day. And so we were like, we're just going to take these to the gym. It was all placebo. We were like, wow, we've never been bigger, all this stuff. But years later, for whatever reason, it like moved with me. And when I was moving to Omaha and packing my things, I found it, and it was an unsealed, and I was like, I could, give it a go. Again, what's the purpose? I wasn't going to do anything with it.
So to be fair, though, that's sort of, I mean, anybody who trains really hard at anything that isn't a professional athlete, like it's all kind of pointless. Like anything past like general health and wellness, like it's all kind of like if you really,
are we getting real philosophical?
I'm just saying, if you like really want to like dig down, do it. Like there was,
what's the point of this all?
There was,
what are we doing here?
Like anybody that's like an amateur bodybuilder or power lifter, like it's all like there was no reason for me to go. And like, not that they're not a great event. We love the Nebraska Cornhusker State
it was
games,
great. Yeah,
brought to you by the Nebraska Sports Council.
Shout out Rico.
But like, there was no reason for me to train as hard as I did to go power lift in the state games.
I try to get my dad to play in the senior games every year.
I'm playing tennis in the state games this year.
The state or the senior games?
Not the senior games.
You could play in the senior games.
Not yet. I'm only 38.
Yeah. But your dad,
how many more years before
like 52?
Minimum.
How many more years before you can play in the senior games?
I don't know.
I think you have to. I think 40. Is it 40?
I have no idea.
No, I think it's 50. I think 50 is like the first year you can play. Because I told my dad, I was like, you could just cook these 75-year-olds in any sport. Like, you don't have to worry about it. He was like, well, I can't. Like, whatever. I don't know if I would perform that well. And I was like, the biggest thing you have to worry about is you can't lose to the old guys.
Yeah,
that's it.
I was like, do the endurance events in which all you have to do is just maintain.
Just outlast them.
Yeah, that's it.
You're closer to the senior games than you are your time in college.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually very excited for turning 40. Because then I can start doing 40-plus tennis tournaments.
And then you can use that walker in the office?
Well, no, I just don't have to play like 25-year-olds anymore. So that's an advantage for sure.
Do you play tennis so that you can have extra tennis balls for your walker?
Ooh, no. I play tennis so I have extra tennis balls for my dog.
That's exactly, he beat you to that. I doesn't have dogs.
I literally just have a box of old tennis balls that Doug just goes, he loves it. He just goes nuts. Starts digging in there. That's crazy.
I have new neighbors, and they are throwing tennis balls all in my backyard all the time.
Yeah,
constantly.
How's Ava enjoy that?
No, she doesn't. She doesn't do physical activity. I can barely get her to walk.
She's like Roggy. She's like, no, I'm not doing that.
No, I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Thank you. Appreciate that.
No, I'm just saying. I think.
Sorry. No,
steroids might be back in baseball,
and also Philly's back.
And I'm excited.
Did you turn up the volume?
Because I was listening. They were booing.
They did the crowd noise a little dirty, but I think they realized they're like, we got something here. They started to like juice it.
Yeah.
It was almost like your dad when something exciting's going on in sports and he just pushes like the volume up one like every 10 minutes.
And somebody's like talking and it's like, hey, stop talking.
It was very fun.
It's the most passive aggressive dad mood. He just turns up the television.
Because at about 45 minutes in, when it started, it was all announcers. It was just yapping, talk. But about 45 minutes in, that's when the crowd really got into booing the kids because they were dropping the home run balls. Oh, I love Philly.
Not just were they booing the kids, but they were actively like cheering every time Jordan Walker would get an out or like fly out or whatever. I was like, listen, I don't think I've heard now obviously Schwarber was there and stuff. So like there's a hometown investment, but I don't think that I don't remember a home run derby where there was that much like actual care about who wins. Usually it's about the spectacle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the most famous home run derbies that I can remember, I don't even know who won. Just somebody had an incredible round. Like the Josh Hamilton one from
Joe Mauer.
10. Joe Mauer didn't win that one. Justin Morneau won that one.
Ooh.
The other twin.
twin. So I might have lied about not remembering who won. But
What up, twin?
But the thing you remember is Josh Hamilton in Yankee Stadium, and you're like, holy cow, he had this like 30 home run round. It was incredible. Or, like Griffey won a couple of them back in the day, and you just remember the spectacle. Or you remember like Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa teeing off in Fenway the year that they both went over 61 home runs. Like it's sort of a spectacle baseball event, not so much a rooting interest. And last night was the first time I remember there being like an active rooting interest, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed that.
And also, the Home Run Derby broadcast has always, in my time, especially it feels like, I don't want to say 5 because that feels too short, maybe like 7 to 8 years, the broadcast has truly kind of sucked because they didn't get the camera angles right. You weren't able to watch every single home run ball. So
you know what the difference was? Well, A, Netflix versus ESPN.
That's true.
And B, I'm going to be honest, this might be a hot take. They got Chris Berman off that thing.
Oh, whoa. You're anti-Berm?
He's not good on that. Like
He hasn't been on it for a while.
Has he not?
No.
I don't remember the last time that it was either. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you who the announcers have been.
Recently than it should have been. And also, it was more recently than after he like retired, because he'd still do like 2 or 3 events a year, and one of them was the Home Run Derby.
He does the like post home run derby. He'll do like the highlights.
2016.
Yeah, he'll do like the highlights afterwards and do the back thing. But he doesn't.
So I just get the back stuck in my head, and I get like PTSD.
A couple of the announcers or whoever does it now still does it every once in a while.
But he would do it like every time.
Oh yeah, every.
And I was like, Berm, I need you to chill, buddy. Like I need you to relax.
Are you anti-Berm?
I don't like that. I don't like that shtick that he does. And I'm not anti in general. There's nothing about him that I particularly like.
Whoa.
But there's nothing about him I actively dislike except for the back.
You're the first anti-Berm guy I've ever met.
I'm sure he seems like a lovely person. I don't know.
You don't like when he does his highlights and he goes, whoop?
Those are fine.
I miss Jacked Up. Jacked Up was fun. You remember Jacked Up?
Yeah.
Where him and Tom would just yell at people getting concussions?
Yeah.
Here's a pass over the middle, and Chris Carter gets jacked up.
Yeah, that's aged poorly.
Yeah, really bad.
Really poorly. Has the NFL tried to scrub that from the internet yet?
No, because it's in the Concussion movie. So I watched it there. I wonder.
Big Will Smith concussion movie guy?
Should I look up Jacked Up, see what comes up? Jacked Up.
I don't know that the NFL was a huge fan of the concussion movie either, for being honest.
Probably not, but they gave away a lot of NFL logos and stuff for that. So.
Yeah. Or maybe they just were okay being sued.
Luke Wilson plays Roderick Dell in that movie. It's very
really?
Yeah, really weird. Really weird pick.
You can find Jacked Up on YouTube still.
Can you? I'm surprised.
Yeah, NFL on ESPN posted this in May. The most Chris Berman highlights of all time, and they're Jacked Up highlights. That's funny.
That's insane.
Good for them.
I can't believe they're just like, yeah, we're still cool.
They're just leaning into it. They're like, actually, we're just bad people.
Yeah.
Actually.
If the NFL leaned into just being bad people, would you watch it more? I mean, not saying you don't watch it.
Good question. Well, honestly, anything the NFL could do, I'd probably still watch. Now, I've said this before, I'm a fan of football. I have the religion of on Sundays, we watch the NFL. I'll always watch Sunday Night Football. I'll try to watch Monday Night Football when I can, that sort of stuff. But if the NFL plays at Super Bowl in Saudi Arabia, I would probably still watch the Super Bowl. That's not going to change my opinion of that.
Big oil money guy, huh?
Oh, I mean, sometimes you got to make your money. You're trying an impossible task.
No,
right now.
I got it.
You got it.
I'm done.
That was impressive.
I can double.
Robbie's been trying to stare at the lights to the screen in the middle.
It's really, really hard.
Trying to get a full screen.
I just can't see when my cursor is over on that screen.
It is the tiniest little cursor over there.
I'm staring directly into 2 spotlights, and I just
see that would be like Hurrdat Sports Olympics is what we would do there. That would be the Hurrdat Sports games.
That'd be the only event that I win because I can't do anything else this company does.
Full screen, a TV 10 feet away with 2 bright lights in your eyes
while still trying to talk during a show.
Yes. Big 12 team of the day. Who do we got here? I kind of like this bit.
Kansas State. We've got our Kansas State Monster can here.
Go Manhattan. EMA, baby.
Monster Energy Drinks brought to you by the Big 12. Kansas State Wildcats. If I turned the can upside down, it would actually be the W for Wildcats here, but it's open and full, so we're not going to do that at this point.
It's open and full.
Well, like half full.
I've never had the purple.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It came in a 3-pack with the orange, my Oklahoma State color.
I do like the orange.
And so I was just like, I really want the orange. I'll try the other two. The blue and the purple are fine. You know, I'm not a huge Kansas State guy, but
Xavier Johnson still there?
Avery Johnson?
Yeah.
The quarterback?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry,
Oh
I think you said Xavier Johnson for some reason.
No.
He's a strange looking guy. The hair, there's a lot going
Avery?
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot going on there with Avery Johnson.
Yeah, and he's starting to get into territory of when is this dude going to graduate?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Remember?
I feel like he's been there a long time.
So
is he the guy who replaced Adrian and Howard?
No, he's the guy that replaced Will Howard. Will Howard replaced Adrian.
I thought those at the same time. Were those not at the same time?
I could have swore Avery was the backup to Adrian and would come in.
No, that
and
was
then Will Howard.
That was Will Howard.
That was Will?
Yeah.
So Will Howard was a couple years ahead of Avery Johnson. And then the rumor was when he entered the transfer portal, it was because Avery Johnson was going to beat him out for the job when he transferred to Ohio State to be the starting quarterback and win a national championship, which worked out pretty well for Ohio State and Will Howard. But he was a couple years ahead of, he was a senior, and I think Avery Johnson was a sophomore at that point. But yes, that was, how long ago does it feel like Ohio State won the national title? I mean, I get it was only a couple years. It was previous to Indiana, right? It went Michigan, Ohio State.
Yeah, so 2
Indiana.
years.
So it's only.
You could have told me that was a decade ago.
I know it feels super long ago.
Wow.
That's why the Avery.
Because the seasons never end.
That's why the
Just keep
Avery
going
Johnson
on.
thing feels like he's been here for 15
That's
years.
fair.
Is because that was kind of the inflection point of his career with getting Will Howard to move on, and that feels like it was 10 years ago, even though it was 2 years ago.
Wow, we're just aging so quickly.
I know.
This is just the getting old show today. That's what today is.
I think we're in a different timeline. There's no way that was 2 years ago.
I do think it was. I do think it was really interesting, and I hadn't thought about this. Obviously, it's a potential thing that could happen. But if Oregon wins the national title this year, I think Phil said it. I think Phil Steele said it. Like you're looking at 4 different Big Ten national champions in a row.
That Big Ten shirt would go hard.
It would go so hard.
2 O's, an M, and an I. Hell yeah.
And 2 of those are, especially when one of them's Indiana. So you're like, well, that would be like Vanderbilt winning the national title out of the SEC.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, I think that's probably the closest. Or Mississippi State.
I mean, you would literally have to pick your worst team.
Mississippi
right?
State, maybe?
Yeah.
Like Mississippi State or Vanderbilt, where you're just like, you have very little success.
Kentucky? Is Kentucky bad historically?
Kentucky is pretty bad historically. I think Indiana was literally the worst team.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's the right choice. It is the right choice.
Or Mississippi State. Mississippi State's very, very bad. But one of those 2, I think, is probably the right choice. I think, and then you have Oregon, who's only been good the last 30 years. So I don't know who that applies to in the SEC. If you want a comparison there, maybe like Florida. Florida's basically only been good since Spurrier.
Yeah, but people would give Florida like the street cred, right?
Yeah,
like,
and they've won
the logo looks better than,
and they've won multiple national titles at this point.
Yeah,
So that's a bad comp.
Ole Miss?
Yeah, I think Ole Miss.
But Ole Miss has like the 30s and 40s, like all that.
Ole Miss is Penn State.
You have to find somebody who's never won one, but has been like consistently pretty good.
So are we trying to compare to Oregon right now?
Yes.
Okay, so we're trying
What's
to
the
find
SEC Oregon?
Because Vanderbilt is Indiana. They have the worst winning percentage.
Thanks for doing that.
Thanks for having the mic on for
Yeah,
that.
appreciate
especially.
that. We really
I'm
need
sorry.
Are you having a Bomani moment right now? Help me.
Shane, help him.
Did that happen during, like, you didn't even take a drink or anything? That just happened spontaneously? Can you breathe? Okay, he can breathe.
Yeah, he
That's
can breathe.
good.
He gave us a thumbs up.
We should.
Shane, can you resuscitate?
We should at some point. Try and find that Bomani Jones clip.
I know,
for
we need
people
to
so
get
they
that
know
in.
what we're talking
Help
about.
me.
Instead
Okay,
of,
so who is
oh,
Oregon?
he says South Carolina. Ethan Funky say maybe South Carolina.
Because it never won a national championship.
Oh, TK says A&M. That's a pretty good one. A&M's only
I can
national
see that.
titles happened before World War II, so it does not count.
Yeah.
Anything before World War II doesn't count.
Well, that's when you just gave yourself a national championship.
I mean, it's apparently still
You just say,
happens, but
our local beat writer said that we are a national champion.
I mean, part of me wants to go later than that because apparently there was a point where Richard Nixon is just like, "You're the national champions." It's like I don't think that's a presidential power that you have there, bud. But anyway,
You've never been president. You don't know.
it's true. I do not.
Good to hear you're live, Rico.
I don't know what's in the rule book, and you can be like, you can name a national championship and code. Oh, cool, dope. But it's definitely at least World War II. I usually start when the AP poll started, which I think is like 48.
Yeah,
which I think is a reasonable place to start. But
we're getting AP poll drops like 4 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that for preseason.
Jeremy, we were talking SEC only on the comp.
And then we get to do the fun part where we go, oh, these preseason polls don't really matter.
Well, have you? Oh my God! Are you trying to get me gassed up already?
Yeah, always.
Have you not seen the?
I mean, your numbers are low right now, so it should be perfect time.
Oh no, that was last night.
Oh, that was last night.
Yeah,
we're good.
Better now. I was just illustrating. I was not having a Baja Blast last night.
Thought you were gonna keel over right in the middle of the show.
No, that's Rico apparently. Help me.
We're good.
Have you seen?
It's just insane to start a sentence while you're already choking.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
You didn't have to turn the mic on there.
I had something to say and I was fine, and then it like crept up, and I was like, "Oh God, this isn't good."
You just get emotional thinking about the SEC. Yeah,
you know what I mean? It just means more, except for the last three years.
3 years.
I am so proud. That's Big 12. That's Paul Rhodes.
We love the Big 12. Anyway,
have you seen the college football? I believe it's their FPI that they have put out, their football power index. I believe it's 16 or 12 of the top 20 teams in the country are in the SEC. 12 of their 16 are in the top 20. Like, this is the Ponzi scheme we're talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
So how does the FPI, like, what does it rank it on?
It's some made up formula that ESPN has.
Okay.
Yeah.
ESPN formulas never make any sense.
No, they don't. They're all nonsense.
Okay.
So you've got Texas. Let me count here, make sure my numbers. Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, A&M, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida, Missouri, Auburn, South Carolina. Those are your 12 in the top 20.
ESPN's Football Power Index is a predictive rating system designed to measure team strength and forecast future game and season outcomes. It evaluates how many points better or worse a team is compared to an average FBS or on a neutral field. Oh, an average FBS team on a neutral field. Preseason inputs take into account prior performance, returning starters, quarterback experience, coaching, and recruiting. Okay, so if you look at it that way, then Ohio State's going to be number one because they always have a top 5 class recruiting.
Yeah.
They bring back their Heisman finalist quarterback. Mm-hmm. They have a plethora of returning players and starters that were impact players for them a year ago. You add a coach that's been there for longevity and won a national championship. That's not necessarily indicative of what their team will actually. I'm not saying that Ohio State's going to be bad or good, but it does say that, yeah, of course they're going to have a high FBI rating because you could just say, oh, well, they have Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sain back. They bring back their head coach. They have a top 5 recruiting class. They have to have a high FBI. Yeah. That's just how the rating will work.
Yeah, and it's a made up ESPN metric. But here's the problem with the made up ESPN metric is now because
quick screenshot from Rico.
We have this out prior to the AP poll being released, as we mentioned. So now there's always this is why I call it a Ponzi scheme. There's always a point of reference to point back to say, oh, this is why I rated this SEC team where I did. This is why I put Tennessee in over Minnesota or whoever else, where like they very well might have the exact same year. Like, I would bet you there are teams ranked, like if you gave me win totals for South Carolina versus Iowa, I'm taking Iowa. Right? I mean, you know what's funny about this? South Carolina's ahead of them in the rankings.
Yeah, they have a projected win total of 6-5.
Iowa has more projected wins by over 1.5. Like, what are we even talking about here?
Doesn't make any sense.
Nebraska has more projected wins than 3 of the top 20 SEC teams.
Which maybe I'm misunderstanding what the FPI is. I don't want to point fingers.
You probably are because it's a made up ESPN metric.
But in terms of one of the categories was projected win totals. And even if you account for all the other things, you would think projected win totals would be higher. Because again, if South Carolina is in the SEC, you deem that the SEC is that much harder. Iowa being in the Big Ten and has more projected wins, their FPI rating should then be higher, right?
Yes.
So why does South Carolina get an almost, a full 1.1 point bump ahead of Iowa.
South Carolina, Auburn, and Missouri are all ahead of Iowa, who all have at least a game fewer projected wins.
Which again, I don't want to nitpicks or anything here, but like seriously, it's
Florida's like 5 spots above them, and their projected wins are a full win below.
Like
Iowa.
we're talking like a point difference is a huge marker in this FPI rating, apparently. And I mean, so Texas Tech and Texas A&M are each tied at 20, and they are 10 and 11. The next step in the SEC is Oklahoma, who was a college football playoff team last year, is nearly 3 points lower than both of them. And they return their starting quarterback, their coach, and all that other stuff.
And Oklahoma projected at 7.5 wins, which is less than Iowa's projected. So this is why this is a great example of what I'm talking about.
They have Penn State at 9 projected wins.
Weird, made up ESPN metric, but this is something people will point back to when they're in the AP poll and putting all of these SEC teams where they don't belong, and then referring back to it, because this is why it matters. I know people are like, well, Ravi, they don't come out with the college football playoff rankings until October, and so it's fine, and that's all they go off of. A, if you think the voters haven't been looking at AP polls the entire season, the committee, you're out of your mind. And B, part of the metrics that they use are based off strength of schedule, which starts somewhere, and it starts with rankings like this. Like, it doesn't all happen out of the ether. Like, it doesn't spontaneously appear every football season. There is always a frame of reference. That's the only way you can do strength of schedule.
Yep.
And especially mid-season.
I mean, everyone, like, this is, the big boogeyman is Nebraska's, really tough schedule, that other stuff. They have, by the ESPN metric, they have an easier schedule than, like, the entire SEC. Georgia, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, Missouri, LSU, South Carolina, Texas A&M, Florida, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas all have tougher schedules than Nebraska. And it's just like what you said. It's because
they make up nonsense like this.
You can say, well, what a tough schedule that they had, because you're the one determining how tough the teams are that they're playing.
Yes, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like, okay, Alabama lost to Kentucky, but we think Kentucky's really good, but they went 5-7. But look at the 7 losses, and like it's just a complete cycle over and over and over again of them saying, hey, these teams are really good. Well, they lose a bunch of games. It's like, yeah, but all these other teams are really good that they lost to, and so now it's okay that they lose, no matter how many games it is. It's still a really tough conference, and it just goes round and round and round. Whereas, like. And I'm not trying to make the argument that the Big 12 is as good as the SEC, because I don't believe that it is.
Yeah.
But the very same logic could be used to prop up the Big 12 and isn't.
Well, and it was a big thing last year, too, that sometimes even the SEC cannibalizes itself in different ways. I mean, you had Drinkowitz at Missouri constantly talking about when they were at 9-3, he was like, we're still in the playoff hunt. And they were 24 constantly. Sometimes Missouri is a much better team than they get any recognition for, but it's mostly because they feast on some of the worst teams that they can, and then don't beat the teams that are the bigger profile names.
And then they lose by 10 or 14 to the big, and they're like, look how well Missouri hung in.
Or by 50 to A&M.
And then you go, they go, look how well Missouri hung in, or with A&M, you go, oh, look how much they beat up a very good Missouri team. It was like, if a Big Ten team does that, they run through I mean, let's be honest. If Nebraska does that this year, I'm not making a schedule prediction, but let's say they go 9-3. Their losses are Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State. The 3 teams that basically most
quality losses.
Yeah. But let's say Nebraska does that. Everybody across the room will just be like, well, yeah, but they lost all the good teams on their schedule.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
That doesn't happen in the SEC. They say, like, look at all the good teams on their schedule. They only lost to the best of them, but they beat all these other good teams. Where it's like, okay, Illinois, I think they take a step back, but I think they're going to be pretty good still. Like, there's a lot of teams on Nebraska's schedule. It's like, I think they could be pretty good. And if you wanted to shade it the other way, it'd be very easy to. But the Big Ten doesn't put out this propaganda machine the way that the SEC and ESPN does. And if they did, I think we'd be having largely different conversations about these two conferences. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills
every time I talk about it, and they're like, well, no, it's the strength of schedule and whatever. It's like, you decided it was the strength of schedule, and you decided what the strength of that schedule was. There is no objective metric for strength of schedule until after the season.
Every game has been played. Every game has to be played.
And then at that point, it is still usually skewed by the perception of those teams going into the season.
Yeah.
It's inescapable.
Yeah.
I don't care
100%.
what metrics you use. You have to have inputs. And if the inputs are skewed, it doesn't matter how objective the metric is.
So is the only solution then coming out with these metrics and FPI, AP poll ratings, college football playoff rankings, copying what the college football playoff committee does, where at week 8, we say, here are the top teams? Because unfortunately, I don't think that you can, because you will always have implicit bias. We will always have people who assume, I mean, we've talked about it for 3 weeks now. The number 1 team in the country is who? The top 5 teams in the country are this. The top 10 teams that, like, we already have implicit bias on teams we sincerely know nothing about, right? I mean, we could be, even down the road, you could be looking at Nebraska and they could be a top 10 team. We have no idea because they haven't yet played a game, right? And if they ended up finishing the season at number 15, people right now would say, what a surprise. But then in terms of right now, we have no idea what they could be.
Also, you know, you talk about to take it out of our hands of being any sort of bias for Nebraska, right? You had Phil Steele say yesterday, he thinks Nebraska starts 5-0, right? Like, that's the thing he said. I'm not making that up. He said, I think they start 5-0 going into the Indiana game. And he said, I think the Indiana game is going to be closer than people think. And I go, is it because Indiana takes a step back? And he goes, no. I think Kurt Signetti is like, he's got that thing. Like, he then went on to praise Indiana. So obviously Phil Steele thinks Nebraska could be a pretty good football team, right? If he thinks they're 5-0 and then hangs with an Indiana team that I tried to give him an out. Like, I tried to give him an out to say, I think Indiana's coming back to the pack a little bit. And he said, nope, it's going to be closer than people think, and Indiana's still really good. So if that's the case, the reason these things matter is, let's say Nebraska goes 5-0, they lose to Indiana by 6 points. Okay? That's closer than people think, right?
Yes.
6 points would be closer than people think. Let's say they go
early spread on that.
They lose to Indiana by 6 points. Nebraska's 5-1 with a really, really quality loss to a really good Indiana team. Nebraska starting outside the top 25 now has a dramatic effect on what that team is.
Yes.
Right? Because if, let's say they start 18 in the country, you're 5-0, all of a sudden we're knocking on the top 10, if not well inside the top 10. And then you lose to an Indiana team that's probably still top 3 in the country, and you drop back from maybe 8 to 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Like, you're still very much in that mix.
Right.
But if you're coming from off the charts in terms of rankings and everything like that, you're sitting there, you go 5-0, and people go like, okay, who'd you beat? 3, you beat North Dakota, Bowling Green. Who's the other? North Dakota, Bowling Green, Ohio, and a brand new Northwestern, or a brand new Michigan State team that's got the Northwestern coaching staff and everything. Like, you're going through and like, Michigan State's not going to be. All of a sudden, that 5-0 doesn't mean anything. And you're maybe knocking on the door of the top 25 at that point, because it's like, well, you haven't beat anybody yet. So it's just what we think of people before we start has way more impact on who we see at the end of the year than we want to admit. And when you start with one conference with 12 of their 16 teams, I'm just calling straight bullshit on that. Like, there is no way that 75% of the SEC is actually better than these other teams. It's just not true. We've seen it play out year after year after year after year. We see them get their ass kicked in the bowl games year after year after year after year. And then it was like, well, they had higher aspirations. They didn't think they'd be playing this. It's like, you're Tennessee, man. You weren't winning a national title. You're South Carolina. You weren't winning a national title. Kentucky's happy to be in a bowl game. All right? Don't give me all this nonsense about, they didn't really want to be there. That's a really convenient excuse. And by the way, if you use that excuse in the regular season where it's like, they just didn't show up, that means you're a bad football team. So I'm going to apply the same logic in a bowl game. All right? Nebraska got their ass kicked by Utah in a game where they didn't really show up.
Yeah.
We hold that against them. Rightfully so. Even if there are some explainable factors in that. It's like, hey, can't lose by 30 in a bowl game, but that's not reasonable. Like,
so is the solution? There probably isn't a solution,
no,
right?
I mean,
because
the real solution.
So naturally, what this entirety is it's basically the polls have always been set to determine not actually who is the best in college football, because that determines the play on the field. That is determined by play on the field, right?
Yeah.
It determines narrative. It determines seeding. It gives us something to talk about. That's really what mostly it's about. But in terms of, okay, we want to make sure that we're getting the right teams in the right positions, all this other stuff, because it does matter when you get to the College Football Playoff Committee rankings, and they value who did you beat, where did you beat them, how did you beat them, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
They will have biases that come that way on the teams that they have seen, the teams that they have played, all that stuff. So is it better as a reduction of a top 25 to a top 10 or a top 15? Does that help that at all?
I don't think
because
so.
then you can't make the argument over half of the SEC is a top 10 team, because more than likely that can't happen. In fact, it can't. You can't have 12 teams in a top 10.
No, but you have the same issue where like they'd release how many votes get. Like the same thing with the AP poll.
That's fair.
So you would understand, like you'd still count out.
Right.
Like when Nebraska's receiving votes, we're like Nebraska's
They're 31st.
29th,
Yeah, right.
you know? So like it wouldn't, I don't think it would fix that because you'd still have too many other teams receiving votes. What would fix it, and here's the problem, is because it will never happen. What would fix it is taking the decision-making and the rankings out of a media company's hand and putting it into the NCAA's hands. And I know we don't trust the NCAA to do anything.
So out of the coaches, out of the media,
yes,
out of the playoff
anyone
committee.
that has a vested interest in what teams make it. The NCAA really doesn't have a vested interest in what teams make it.
When does the NCAA do that in any sport?
I mean, the college basketball. They have the college basketball playoff committee.
Okay, yeah.
Now, and they put out their own. They have started putting out their own seeds earlier in the year. Now you still have the AP poll and stuff like that, and that obviously impacts it. But you have the most unbiased in. I mean, hockey's super unbiased. It's all, I believe it's called the pairwise rankings. Like it's all pretty straightforward metrics. There's no decision making by anybody. It's like this is just what it is. You've got, I think, a similar setup to basketball with the baseball selection committee, although they have to fudge things a little bit with where they want the regionals and stuff like that with the host sites. So like there's a little bit more variables there, but they, I think, typically get it pretty right. You're talking about maybe one or two teams on the outside or inside. And that, ironically enough, probably is the one sport where the SEC does deserve the juice that they get. Like the SEC in baseball is a level above everybody else. Like there's no denying that, right? So,
but then I mean, just to push back a little bit on your basketball thoughts on it too. I mean, even this past March, we were, hammering and pounding the table that, well, the NCAA wants to put Nebraska in Oklahoma City because they know what that's going to look like.
Well, so they root for storylines.
Yeah.
Like, and we've seen
then there's a bias.
There is a bias, but it's much less of a bias than, hey, we have to get content out this week. Right? If you're ESPN, the reason all these things exist is for content, right? The reason there's an FPI. Yeah, absolutely. I get it. That's why
we can do a Hurrdat Sports Top 25 poll.
That's why I'm not asking ESPN to stop doing it. I'm asking somebody to take it away from them.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're still going to do it, but you can't be the company that's creating the content and in the ESPN, and then still also, like, they also own the college football playoff.
Yeah. But they would come back and tell you, well, it's non-biased. It's purely analytical, because that's what it is. It's ESPN Analytics that comes out with it. But the thing is, ESPN puts the numbers in,
owns ESPN Analytics, and the inputs again come from somewhere, right? And also, like, you can't own the thing that you're making the decisions about and have people be like, "Hey, I'm sure it's on the up and up," and maybe it is, but the fact that they have the largest monetary stake, and everybody's like, well, they have TV rights for multiple conferences. They have the largest monetary stake in the SEC. And they consistently we see this all the time with ESPN. When ESPN lost the NHL contract, you didn't see hockey highlights on SportsCenter for like 4 years. They just squashed that thing. As soon as the Big East moved to FS1, something ungodly crazy had to happen for Big East basketball to make it, for years, for them to make it onto ESPN.
Thanksgiving weekend, right? That was pretty much it.
Thanksgiving weekend, or like even just highlights.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when the new Big East got formed and they just didn't show highlights. The one time I remember him showing is when Ethan Rogge went crazy at Villanova. And it's like, well, if you don't do that, then you're not really covering sports anymore. Right. And so and I understand it. You want to promote your own products. I get that. The MLS left from, they stopped showing MLS highlights and now it's sort of started to come back. But like, I understand why you do it. I'm not blaming ESPN. I'm blaming the fact that we've allowed them to then own the championship as well. That's where the problem comes in. You can have the rights to the championship and you can put out all your content, but then to also be the ones that put the committee together because you own the college football playoff, That's a whole other level. And I'm not blaming them for taking advantage and making the money. What I am saying is the NCAA letting FBS football out of their hands. It's the only sport they don't run their own championship for.
Mm-hmm.
The only sport at any level that I'm aware of that they don't run their own championship for. They do not own the FBS championship. They don't. They own college basketball, baseball, FCS, everything else. Everything else is taken in-house at the NCAA. They do not run or own. They don't even make money off of the FBS, the college football playoff. 90% of their operating revenue for the year comes from the NCAA basketball tournament because that is the thing that they own. I'm almost positive they might get a small cut, but all of the rights for the college football playoff go to the schools and to the conferences. All the money that ESPN pays. So at this point, what are we doing? Like, what are we talking about here in terms of having somebody with that much of a vested interest in the product, in the television product, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to go more popular teams with bigger fan bases, teams that you have relationships with where it's monetarily going to benefit you. Like, we're so far deep in the weeds with ESPN, the SEC, and the college football playoff that it's not going to, but the only way to fix it is to extract them from the equation in running the championship.
And they've kind of circumvented it a little bit too, because I mean, many times we have seen where the SEC has been a little bit of a folly, especially if you just look back at last year too. Like some of the teams that we were questioning a little bit about, okay, well, where do they place amongst the 12 teams that made the playoff? You know, how do we feel about where they were seated or how they were put in? They just placed them against each other. Like they just played the SEC teams again. And they're like, oh, well, you know, no matter what happens, we kind of went out this way because you'll never know.
Absolutely.
Right?
You'll never know if they actually deserve to be there or not.
Yeah. And it's the same thing too, because I know that there's probably somebody that goes back and just says, well, you know, the BCS, they got it right a lot of times. But again, the BCS, the computer rankings, you had to have inputs for. That's the thing, is like a computer. And when you do analytical data, you can skew your data however you choose to see fit. That is the part, is like there's no part of this that will not have bias. Like no matter how you cut it, like, and you just said it with like the NCAA, if they retain the rights, if they regain control of it somehow.
I mean,
ESPN,
they're not crawling it back. They're not clawing it back.
No, it's beyond the, you know, toothpaste in the tube. It's like out in space right now. Neil Armstrong's just using that thing, right?
Yeah, like you're not getting it back.
Yeah, and no matter where you go, and it's like, oh, well, maybe Fox needs, and I saw that comment a little bit ago. That's like, well, Fox has the same right as ESPN to go out and do this sort of stuff. And they're absolutely right. Like Fox could. But the fact of the matter is that everyone is going to point the direction in one way. And I don't know why Fox hasn't decided to try to push back against that.
So here's what's happening right now. This is why we haven't had an announcement yet on a 2014 playoff, is because Fox is, my understanding, this could have changed, or I could be misinformed based on what I heard. What's going on with the CFP is that one of the holdups is Fox is trying to get more influence over the CFP,
right?
Because they want not only broadcast rights over some of those 24 games,
which they should. I mean, 24 games just run by one company. I mean,
absolutely, or over the 2014 playoff, and they're trying to get more influence over the college football playoff committee. That is the current holdup. That's why we're not at 24 teams. That's why the SEC is like, yeah, we're fine staying at 12. And the Big Ten is like, hey, it's a 2014 playoff now. Let's go. Like that's where everybody's aligning. And that's the point. And if there's a reason ESPN is like, oh, we don't want more inventory. Well, they do, but they want it all to be theirs. So ESPN's pushing for a 16 because they feel like they can keep it all at 16. Fox.
I mean, again, it proves like your FPI shows that, 12 of the 16, like in a perfect world, yeah, we would get 10 of our teams, ESPN's teams, right? The SEC network, all that sort of stuff to cover it. And you would get your sprinkle of Big Ten teams. They can't stop Ohio State.
Realistically,
they're not going to
probably
stop.
Talking like 8 SEC teams.
Right.
But you'd get your Ohio State, Indiana, and then one of
Michigan, Oregon,
Penn State,
Nebraska.
Oregon, a couple of those teams.
Yeah.
So let's say you get your four Big Ten teams. You're going to get your one SEC or your one ACC, your one Big 12, your one Group of 5. We're at 7. Your Notre Dame, that's 8.
Yep.
Where are the other teams coming from? You think they're going to put? You think they're going to put another ACC team in there?
Probably not.
You think they're going to put another Big 12 team in there? You think the Pac-12 is going to get a team ever?
Well,
you think about West?
I root for Boise State, so I mean,
I'm sure. But
maybe Cowboys, maybe the old Pokes will get there.
you think
Go Dub.
you think UNLV is gonna crash the party? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so you're talking about they want to set up a system where they can get 7 or 8 SEC teams every year, and
Because the alternative is when it does expand to 24. Just speaking in principle, logically you go, okay, well, where are these more teams coming from? You just go probably the Big Ten.
yeah, you're gonna.
I mean, that was the argument, right? The past
Now-
couple of years is like, where's Illinois? Why aren't they getting more of an argument? Like, where are these other teams that are on the fringe in the Big Ten?
So to be fair, you're probably going to still get your 8 to 10 SEC teams.
Yep.
But then you're going to get your 6 to 8 Big Ten teams, and then the rest will fill out the way we just said. And then at least the Big Ten's thought is, hey, you might still get a couple more, but at least we're in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right. The difference between 4 and 8 is bigger, even if the number is similar, than it is between like 8 and 10. Right. Like there is a big gap there where you can close it because the bias is going to favor the SEC. So you need a bigger field to get the back half of your teams in. Like that's it. To my understanding, that's where the negotiations on the 2014 playoff are right now, and why it hasn't happened yet. Because the SEC and ESPN are trying to hang on for dear life to control over everything, and Fox and the Big Ten are saying, "Hey, it's time for us to have a seat at the table." That's my understanding of the situation, and that's why we haven't had a resolution. Because everything I've said about the SEC and ESPN is right, and they're trying to keep that status quo for as long as humanly possible. They would rather turn down the extra money of a college football playoff than to give up control over that college football playoff.
They understand the long term.
Absolutely.
The long term, they lose. The minute that Fox gets a little bit more hands in the cookie jar,
the minute
ESPN loses.
The minute anybody else gets influence over this, and the minute you have consistently Big Ten teams facing off against SEC teams in games that everyone agrees matters, you can't go to a college football playoff and have Auburn in there and say, well, Auburn thought they were going to be a higher seed, so they didn't really care about this game. Like that logic no longer holds up. So when they go and get their ass kicked by Illinois, it's like, well, what's the excuse now? I don't know why I just picked 2 teams with almost like identical color schemes, but here we are. Auburn and Illinois.
Wow.
Different letters.
They're like
Reverse,
the reciprocal of each color-wise.
It's very similar colors.
Very similar. Oh, it's a good thought. It's a good thought.
I'm just saying.
Wow. What a way to start the day.
David said the Crown Football Championship presented by Fox.
Wow. kind of in on that. I'd love to see Rutgers. It'd actually kind of just be the same teams. It would just, it really like West Virginia, like
Nebraska, Rutgers.
Hey, knock it off.
Nebraska.
Creighton,
Creighton,
wait.
years ago.
Listen, what'd you say?
Yeah,
Kelvin?
Creighton's back.
Oh wait, no, never mind.
Yeah.
Wow.
They don't have a football team, Rico. I don't know if you know this. No football at Creighton.
You just said it'd be the same teams.
Well, you with football teams, Rico. Good input. Appreciate that.
Hard to play football without a football team.
Glad to see you're okay, Bomani. All good.
I have been helped.
That's better than radio.
You've been helped.
You seem very hurt right now. You're gonna be all right?
Do you prefer the nickname Bomani or radio?
Bomani.
Okay.
No.
All right, radio.
Best part about nicknames is you don't get to decide.
Yep.
Probably shouldn't have had that in your Twitter bio.
Yeah, if you think about that,
this is on you. It's totally on you.
Names are a really bad deal. The fact that your parents can just come up with it when you're non-sentient. Like 5 minutes into life, this is who you are.
Like, you look like a this.
Also, I got to be honest.
I think Austin's a turd name. I hate this name.
This might be a hot take, but I feel like the parent should have to wait 24 hours after the kid's born. Because a lot of times the mom's still pretty heavily drugged.
Yeah.
And
she's gone through some stuff.
Also, there's like a big emotional roller coaster, I would imagine. I don't know. I've never had children.
It's fair.
But it seems like there's like a lot of things going on there. Like maybe that's not the best time to spell Ashley with 3 Ys.
Maybe this is where we go to our resident dad.
I'm just going to let you 2 handle it. Go ahead.
What do you mean?
It's
about naming your kid. We're also interested.
He named his most recent kid after a New York Knick that barely plays, so that's fun.
True. First off, not who he's named after, just happened to happen.
Mitchell Robinson?
Miles McBride. I'm just saying. Miles McBride. Hey, you want
I forgot his name was Miles. Was calling him Deuce for so long.
You want us to believe, as the audience of
I know it's hard to believe, but it's true.
You want us to believe that Rico, who was doing victory laps all over the state of Nebraska over a New York Knicks NBA championship.
In which he's admitted he's never been to, 100 feet within Madison Square Garden?
That they
How close is Madison Square Garden to Times Square?
I don't know, but they
Pretty far.
have a player on the team with the name Miles.
Who is called Deuce?
What's the nickname for your kid?
Miles.
Squirt.
It's not Deuce.
They
Twist
have
cone.
It's Stinky Boy.
they have a player on their team named Miles. At the same time that you name your new son Miles, and you would like everyone here to believe that there is no connection there.
It's very hard to believe, but that is true. Yes.
What's going on with Rico's kids' names?
People are asking.
Honestly,
People are asking.
if Miles becomes anything like Miles McBride, I'd be okay.
I've seen how tall you and your wife are. I don't think
It's
you
not
have to
gonna.
worry
It's
about
not gonna
that.
happen. No.
You need to focus him on shorter people sports.
Get ready to learn Peru, buddy.
Baseball.
Ooh, he could be second baseman. He could probably get away with being like
I'd rock.
Jose Altuve.
5'8", 5. Well, if you're all two, be like 5'2" as a second baseman.
Yeah. Hey, I'd be okay with that. It'd be fun.
Don't get his hopes up for basketball, homie.
No.
That's not a.
Ellie keeps saying she wants to play basketball.
Nate
I'm like,
Robinson.
"Good." But then she goes, we went to a women's basketball game and she was watching. And I said, do you want to be out there? I pointed at the 3-point line. I was like, or do you want to be down there? And Alexis Markowski like just hit like a turnaround jumper. And she goes, I want to be down there. And I go, well, baby girl, that's not going to happen.
That's
Wow,
not.
way to crush their dreams
That's
early,
not
Rico.
for you.
That's really mean.
You gotta say.
I told her, I was like, you could be out there.
You gotta kind of give her the Lion King treatment, where it's like everything that the 3-point arc shines on belongs to
That's-
you. The
That
paint is
shadowy place under the
shadowy
basket.
place.
That's
You
we
must
don't go there.
never go there.
We don't go there. Yeah. It's the same thing with volleyball. She's like, I want to be like them. And she's pointing to the outside hitters in the middles. I go, I point to Lexi Roder. I'm like, that's the one.
Teach her a lesson. Have her play Shayla this fall.
All right, deal. A 7-year-old versus
V. Shayla.
What could be wrong? Yeah, soccer's on the table. You get some soccer going.
Ooh.
yeah.
You give him soccer early.
Rico would love to spend a weekend in like Kansas City watching soccer all weekend.
Wow.
I'd be fine with it.
That.
I want my kids to run track. That's what I want.
Were you listening when we were talking about how much soccer costs in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Maybe steer them away from soccer.
My kids need to do track because you could just run wherever.
You can also just kick a soccer ball, but you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We have soccer goals in our backyard. That's as close as they're getting.
All right.
Rocks.
That's kid talk with Rico.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a break now. It's plenty of
Perfect. Love that.
It's all the children we need for today.
Ravi will never do
Who's
this
coming
again.
on the show today?
Terrific question. We're gonna talk to Steve Gardner.
Bang.
He is gonna get us ready for the All-Star game tonight. We're gonna get talking about the first half, quote unquote, of the MLB season. I might sneak in a couple Red Sox questions in there.
Naturally, you should.
9-game winning streak. You
Not
know,
like I'm going to ask any Royals questions. No one wants to hear that.
I mean, you could ask questions and be like, "So what went wrong?
Hey, so the Royals, how many players can you trade in one season?
What's going on with the Kansas City Royals?" And then we've got Connor Eargood. He covers Michigan State. We are going to continue on our previews of Nebraska football schedule, and Michigan State is up next. That's your lineup for today. We'll be right back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
What is your lasting memory from Nebraska? What's maybe the first thing you think of when you think about your time at Nebraska?
There's a lot of very good memories there. Obviously, that weekend in OKC is something that's gonna stick with me for forever. But just being in the gym like that, our practice facilities, we've spent so much time there, like practicing throughout the summer, throughout the season. Like you spend so much time in that practice facility. I think that's like I'm never gonna forget that gym. All the good and all the tough days. A lot of time was spent in there.
If losing weight is harder than you expected, it's not just about willpower. At Next Gen Male Medical Clinic, we build a supervised plan around your body, not someone else's. Schedule a visit at nextgenmmc.com. Let's get you moving forward.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. DB is off coaching. He'll be back tomorrow as we continue on in the week.
Sauter and I have
What do you guys
our
have?
tentative plans for our camp confidentials this fall.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. So
Are you making tentative plans for me to finally see 6 and 8 man football?
I am. Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm starting to look at what the best days and schedules would be. The perfect scenario is it's like a Thursday, and we get like a Thursday afternoon 6-man game, and then we could drive somewhere, and we'll probably not be able to finish the 6-man game, which is fine. And then we would go watch an 8-man game at like the 7 o'clock, and then we could just
like a 4 and a 7.
Yeah, something like that. So a lot of times you'll see these 6-man games that'll kick off at like 2 or 3.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
We can do that
because they don't have lights on the field. So
good call.
Yeah, makes a difference.
Listen,
I'm also trying not to make it hopefully like into October. I want it to be like in a perfect world, it's like a Thursday in September.
Yeah.
Then we can go to 6 and 8-man games.
I'm gonna be honest. If it starts getting cold, you're gonna lose me.
I know. I'm trying to listen. I know my friends. I'm trying to remove the barriers of entry for them to go and enjoy something that I have had such a passion for.
We'll get you some hand warmers.
I'm glad you've learned that about me so early because we've only known each other for a couple years now, right?
Couple years.
Yeah. If there's something where it's like I'm not super motivated to do it, or it's not something I'm really excited about, you really got to make it easy for me.
Yeah. And see, that's the other tough part about this is that there's not a lot of 6. There's more 8-man teams that we could go to that's in the relative area. Like, I mean, Bergen Catholics plays 11-man now, but there's a couple of teams that we could drive probably like 30 minutes and go see an 8-man team. 6-man is a little harder. You got to get a little bit out of your way. So yeah, I know that we could go south and we could probably hit one like in an hour drive and we could get there. Okay. And then on our way back, we could get like an 8-man team. That's my goal.
In my head, I was thinking if we can stay within a 2-hour one-way window,
right,
I'd be up for that. Also,
I'll open it up to chat. If there's like a perfect 6-man or 8-man field, I'll say that. I'd like to know people's opinions on where they think we should be going.
Hot Danger. The reason he wants it on a Thursday is because he covers a bunch of other high school games as well. So he would like to not have to miss a Friday of games he would normally cover in order to.
Thank you. Yes.
To fulfill our side quest here.
I promise I'm not trying to be lazy. In fact, I regularly cover
working harder.
Yes, I cover many things, especially in the fall. So
I will say
that's what makes me so mad about like 8-man football is. I wish, and I understand everybody wants to play Friday Night Lights. Everybody wants to. But like from my perspective, I would go to so many more games. And maybe this is me being selfish. I don't think that it is. Like, I want those schools, athletes, towns, teams, all that stuff. I want them to be highlighted as much as possible. If they just played their regular games on Thursday nights and then Friday nights were like 11-man games. And I know, I get it. Friday Night Lights, all that other stuff, right? But I would go to so many more games and I would go watch so many more teams. But since everybody's stacked up at the same time on Friday at 7 p.m., it's impossible to go see multiple games.
Super limited on the games.
I mean, how many times did you go to 2 games in a night? And I like you're not on the same coverage like me, Sod, or JP, or any of those guys are.
In a night, I probably do that. I think last year I did it once. I was out at Elkhorn South, and I went to
West Side,
Scott.
Elkhorn North.
Yeah, it's got Elkhorn North, which was an awesome game.
Oh, Nelson, great pick. Game of the year, Central Valley, Sandy Creek, week 4. That's a good pick.
I'm trying to think. Was I at Elkhorn South for that one? No, because we were both at Elkhorn South, Bellevue West, so it wasn't that one.
No, it was West Side, Elkhorn South. And Tate had like 6 touchdowns at half.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm good.
It was like 42 or like 35-3 or something. Yeah. I remember you would like text me, you're like, what's the score? And you're like, I'm on my way.
Yes.
Which is arguably, weirdly enough, getting to Scott from Elkhorn High Stadium.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
No.
It's a little bit of a journey.
I got there pretty quick though.
Yeah.
And I lucked out. So I really lucked out. Somebody was leaving in a very good parking spot.
Nice.
Right when I got there, and I was like, "Let's up."
That's what we want.
But I don't do that very often. And Sauter does it a lot. He does it, I would say, more weeks than not. That she gets to multiple high school games in a night, which is really challenging.
When he doesn't have like a game of the week that takes that precedence. So.
But he will a lot of
like
times.
When he gets into postseason, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to hit these 40 games at these times. I'm going to leave," and he's always like, "I'm going to leave at the 5-minute mark of the first quarter." And I was like, "So you're going to watch 6 minutes?"
He gets it timed out like to the minute, and so I mean, it's super challenging. I agree with you schedule wise. It would be nice if there was a little bit more spread out, but I also wonder, like, and let's be honest here, in terms of the other people that cover, you're probably not getting a ton of benefit outside of like us.
Yeah.
Right.
100%,
like in terms of like you cover more small school football than anybody in the state. I would venture.
As like an individual?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Because I mean, most of the others, like radio stations and local towns. Yeah, you're right. And they're going to send their radio broadcast team to like one game. Maybe they'll have 2. But yeah. I would say in terms of statewide, yeah. And I'll go back and I'll try to watch like a couple of games if they have streams and stuff on the schools that I know. So I'll have all those tabs and try to watch those on Saturday morning. But yeah.
So like it's outside of you and maybe a couple other people. Like the benefit of moving it to Thursday is pretty limited.
Yeah.
For most of them.
I guess even more specifically, like especially playoffs. Like if they moved all the playoff games to Thursday, then that would actually make my heart flutter a little bit more. Because like
playoffs make sense.
Listen, last year when we had Millard South and West Side in the Class A semifinal at 7 p.m., everybody was going there.
Yeah.
We had another Class A game. It was Papio South, and gosh, who's the other semifinal team? Was it Elkhorn South? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But that like across town, and all the Papio people were there. They were having a great time.
About it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody was at Millard South, and like we had Class B games going on at that time.
Playoffs is a fair point. Playoffs is
like Waverly was having, and I'm not trying to change like all these ones, but I went to like Columbus, Lakeview, and Sydney. That game kicked off at 4 p.m. because of the mountain time difference and the distance Sydney had to travel, and I was like over the moon because a 4 p.m. kickoff on like a Friday night, and then I could go hit I went to Howells Dodge St. Mary's after. Beautiful, incredible.
I will say my distance that I'm willing to travel to do this goes up if I'm not driving.
Oh, I'll drive.
You can take my car if you want.
No, we'll take the Equi.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if I'm not driving, that does help.
Okay.
That expands the boundary.
Now here's the other thing that I was worried about, because I know we're trying to tie Rico into it, and obviously he's got other things happening, so if he can't make it work, that's fine. But you do know we'll be very limited in our food options, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm aware.
So that's going to be.
I assume there'll be like a McDonald's somewhere or something. Most of those places, no,
not in these towns.
We don't have McDonald's. What do we have?
So like if we,
I assumed like a couple generic.
Ravi assuming there's a McDonald's in a 6-man town is hilarious.
So like in a generic, like let's just say an hour south of here is about like Johnson Brock. Like we go to Johnson Brock, there is no fast food anywhere near that.
Is there a Casey's?
A chain gas station, not in Johnson. No, we would go buy one in Syracuse. So we'd have that. Like there are places that we'll drive through that we would like get to, but like in the town that we would be going to, more than likely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't you want Robbie to have the full experience and just go to a local place?
See, but the problem is, and again, like I'm not trying to be like joking by any matter, but the thing is if we're trying to be like, oh, we'll like go eat before, more than likely that place is going to be closed because the game is going to be going on. So they might be like, hey, you got to be out by 6 because we're closing up and wrapping up stuff. That happened when I was in Shelby for their playoff game, their second round game that I went to Shelby and the entire town was like vacated. They were like, we have closed the town at 5 p.m. because it was also Halloween night. So they had the two they had a home playoff game and they had Halloween on the same night.
Yeah, I'm willing to eat at gas stations. We can make it work.
We can make Casey's work. Casey's fine.
Wherever. I mean, it doesn't have to be at Casey's, but
we should. How funny would it be if like Quick Trip just put like a monstrosity of a Quick Trip like in Johnson?
Listen,
just throw it in Adams, Nebraska.
I'm not mad about a ballpark dog either. L Walls.
I feel. You know what? I didn't consider that. You know,
I'm happy to eat. I love stadium food.
There is more than likely a chance that there would be some sort of like cookout food.
I'm in.
You know, like the big steak like grill going on.
Listen, I'm happy. I'm happy to eat ballpark food.
Yeah, I have eaten a steak at an 8-man game before. And it was ridiculous. It was like $10. I was like, this is an insane price.
Was it good?
Well, all they had was like plastic cutlery, so I was kind of just eating it with my hands.
You have to caveman that thing.
But it was good.
Yeah,
it was good. Yeah,
that's not bad.
And it was sponsored by whichever 4-H club of the town. It was great. It was Loomis. That's what it was. It was Loomis. I had a steak at Loomis. Yeah.
A steak at a football game just sounds absolute gas.
It says stadium popcorn was every. Listen, I love popcorn at the stadium. I'll get a hot dog at basically every game I go to.
Okay, so Walls brings up a good point though. Stadium popcorn. I have been to many places. We need to put more salt on our popcorn. We need to be working on that. Like everyone tries to over butter. We got to over salt.
I also want to over butter. I'm
anti butter. I want light butter. I want to drizzle.
Oh, I'm a big butter guy on my popcorn.
It's a good thing we don't go to movies together.
I know. Well, we could get different popcorns.
That's true.
More butter, more salt.
I'm not trying to put my hands in your popcorn.
You don't have to. I'll put it in the middle.
Oh, you're not sitting next to each other?
Oh, you can have the buffer seat if you want.
Nah.
Is it weird to have the buffer seat?
I think
the buffer seat's weird now.
You think the buffer seat's weird?
Yeah.
Why? Because like dudes can't be friends, or like what?
Yeah, we're boys.
Yeah. Now, if the three of us went, we don't need buffer seats.
No.
If it's just Ravi and I, maybe a buffer seat.
Also, here's what's going on with theater seats.
Asian Wyatt, Austin's inviting people to the cookout. The 8-man football cookout, buddy. Yeah, I got you.
It's a different cookout, Wyatt.
This is a barbecue, not a cookout.
This is a tailgate.
Great pick, Dominic. Really. Bob's Bar rocks. I love Bob's Bar.
Really more of a tailgate. Here's the other thing. There is a factor here, and maybe I'm just not secure enough.
I'm sorry, what were we talking about? I kind of got lost.
Theater seats.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe I'm just not secure enough. It's also different when the seats recline as far as they do.
Ooh, yes. Yeah. No,
I kind of want a buffer seat in that situation.
You have the armrests that are in between. You're not laying next to each other.
You're pretty much laying next to each other.
Listen, there are some theaters
you can't lay next to my boys.
You can go to some theaters here in town that have like love seat couches. I ain't sitting on a love seat couch that I paid for. Like if me and my friends from whatever, like if my bachelor party were like, hey, we're just going to put on a movie. It's been a long day. Everyone just hang out. And you're sitting on the couch. Nobody bats an eye. Nobody's going to be weird about sitting next to each other on that couch. But if we paid $15 to go to a public establishment, I'm not sitting on the love seat with my friends.
Also, Austin, I'm trying to snuggle up to you watching Dune 3, baby.
Do not look me in the eyes and say snuggle.
You're not going 3 to that couch either.
No.
You're going buffer seat on the couch.
Unless you're spooning, which I don't want to be spooning in public neither.
I think it depends upon if it's a full theater or not. Because if the three of you guys go to a theater and it's just like the three of you in there and you're all sitting.
Sure.
Right.
It's actually weirder if it's an empty theater and you're all just like cramped together.
Just right in the middle.
That's a really good point, Shane.
Yeah.
If it's like just me and Austin in an empty theater and we don't leave a buffer seat, that's super weird.
That's weird at that point. But if it's not,
But I will say, if there's no buffer seat, you keep that shit upright.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'll let the feet go out, but you keep the back upright.
And not to get too controversial by any means, but movie theater seats, we've gotten a little too comfortable.
I agree.
There's a point of being
People
at a movie
falling
theater.
asleep in movie
like
theaters.
every single time I take my fiance to a movie, she's like, I can't wait to get this 2-hour nap. I didn't pay for you to nap.
No.
I
Taking your
paid for you to
blankets.
watch Jurassic World Dominion with me.
Yeah.
ScarJo's shooting dinosaurs. That's what we came to the movie for.
Dude, people
right?
taking blankets to movie theaters that are not like young children who get cold easily. I'm like, why? You're about to fall asleep. What are you doing?
There are some.
Dude, my wife always brings a blanket.
See,
she always gets cold.
I'm not anti Natalia. I'm not anti my friends and their fiancés, wives, girlfriends, that sort of stuff. If you bring a blanket to a non-outdoor public venue, I have some thoughts, and I don't like what that brings, because the next step
I will look at you sideways.
The next step to me after that is like, we're wearing pajamas in public, and I'm not for that either. I don't like seeing people with pajamas. Blanket, we're nearing that line.
I think
we're towing that line.
Blanket at a theater is, especially in the summer, like got the AC cranking. You're not gonna dress warm, or you're not gonna dress warm because it's hot outside, and then it might be really cold inside. I can allow a pass on the blanket in the theater. I agree with you in most other situations, and I'm very much anti pajamas in public.
Yeah.
But
except at Walmart, and then I go people watch.
I will
The shivering keeps you awake at the movie. That's the point.
I think if you're not falling asleep with the blanket, I'm okay. Like if you're not falling asleep, I'm okay, because I understand the climate.
I have seen the pillow come out, and I'm like, now we're doing too much. Now you're just taking a nap.
Now you're paying for a nap.
Who pays for a nap?
Pillow's way
A loud ass nap.
I do think, especially in the summer, when you're not just gonna have a coat with you to be like, oh, I can stay warm in my coat. I do think the blanket's a reasonable move. I don't use one because I don't really get cold that easily, but I understand it.
Now, are you a pour something into your popcorn guy?
Just butter.
Whoa.
Just so much butter.
You're not doing the crunch a bunch?
Every time.
Whoa.
I love movie popcorn.
Okay, yeah.
I love movie popcorn.
This isn't an anti-movie popcorn.
No, I know. I'm just saying, but like I'm a purist the way I am with like hot dogs. Like I don't like any condiments on my hot dogs.
What?
Like, just give me a good regular hot dog, no condiments.
You're raw dogging a dog
at all times?
You don't gotta say that.
Okay. An Omaha Steaks dog, a Fairbury Red. Yeah. Those don't need them. They got the snap. They're good.
My preference is always to have a dog, no condiments. Always.
That might be the weirdest thing you've ever said.
I will make exceptions for
a guy who's diabetic. You'd think you'd want some more sugar in your system. That's fine.
I would make exceptions for like a chili cheese dog, because that's not really a condiment at that point. Like,
I mean, that's a different food.
Yeah, it's a different food item.
Yeah.
But if we're just talking a regular hot dog, like no relish, no ketchup, no mustard, just regular hot dog, plain hot dog.
You're just grilling your dog, tossing it on a bun, and eating it.
Yep. When I was a kid, I didn't even need the bun. Like sometimes I would just use a fork.
Do
hot dog.
My God. What's wrong with you?
I don't have questions. I'm just concerned.
I like hot dogs. I don't know what you want me to. I like hot dogs.
I want to have a stronger opinion on this, but I don't know how to react. It's like there's just
I got nothing.
I just simply don't have any thoughts.
I mean,
I also like hot dogs, but
I'll go to Buell and
see, when I say I like hot dogs, I think of like everything that goes with it. Like I think of the mustard and like what I want to put with the dog, the bun. Like that's what I think of when I say hot dog. When I say hot dog, I just don't think about plastic forks sticking it into a pot of boiling dogs and like ripping one out. That's not me.
Obviously boiling isn't the preferred method, but like, listen,
so you get some texture on there.
Yeah.
So like the Bar S 98-cent dog, you're just ripping with no condiments.
I mean, I would never buy that, but if that's what I get at like a ball game or something, like it kind of is what it is.
Okay, so I can see where you're coming from, because again,
I buy like a really if I buy hot dogs for the house, I buy like a really quality hot dog. Either like an Omaha Steaks dog or
so like Costco. Are you putting
the Costco dogs are phenomenal,
but nothing on your Costco dog.
Plain. Okay. Even the ones that you buy in the package, the Kirkland ones, when I get those, take those home.
Are those the same ones?
I believe so.
Okay.
They better be.
The ones that when you buy the $1.51 from the concessions window, plain. Nothing on the hot dog.
You are one step away from just eating the hot dog straight out the pack.
Now I will say this.
I do Hebrew National.
When we have this problem, like not necessarily at the major college football games by any means, definitely at high school.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have like the pump for the condiments, I don't trust all of the other gross hands that have been like near a cap of
like
ketchup
the squeeze
mustard.
bottle.
Yeah.
What
And
about
sometimes you open those things up and it looks like they were torn to shreds. Like
Also-
people just don't know how to stop squeezing, tip it over and close. It's tough.
I mean, if you've ever like shared a house with somebody and see the top of like a toothpaste thing, I just don't trust other people's judgment on how to.
Yeah. Listen,
know.
if
Are you a packets guy?
a packet of
Like fat condiments? Like are packets?
Oh yeah,
okay?
no, I'll do
Okay.
packets. Yeah, I'll do packets. No, like if I've ever stayed at somebody's home and they have their syrup out for like some reason, like if they made breakfast or whatever,
Mhm.
if their syrup is like completely, if their bottle is just like completely covered, gross people,
Immediate judgment.
gross people, or they have kids, or they have
Immediate
kids,
judgment.
or they have kids, because like
Our
what-
bottles aren't
What
like
do you
that.
mean you can't stop pouring? Just tip it up and close. It's not difficult.
Even if you have kids, just wipe off the bottle.
Yeah.
Well, with
And
the
you know
kids,
right then.
with the kids, it's not about the bottle getting all cut. It's about
hands.
no, it's just their plate just gets an obscene amount of sauce of whatever it is.
Sauce.
Like our kids are just like tipping it and it's all over, and then they tip it up. It's not getting all over it. Like they're
Like pepper in your sandwich last week.
yeah, like that. Just an obscene amount of whatever they're pouring.
She Oppenheimered that thing. That was crazy.
That's a crazy use of the term Oppenheimer.
Well, do you see the way? Like, I swear to God, that pepper landed and went. Like,
Did
came
their
back.
Sandwich had a bomb dropped on it.
there was a mushroom cloud of pepper after.
My face, if they have like security footage of my face when she put that pepper on, I was like, oh no.
You know what the best part was too? I love that visit. Like, I want to go back. I don't think you do.
It was a really good sandwich aside from the middle of the sandwich.
I want to go back. I was like, that's a great spot.
I had a great sandwich. I was
I
like,
hope it keeps happening to you. I want that to always happen.
I'm like coughing eating my sandwich. I'm not choking. It's just so much pepper.
And also, not to
Full
point fingers or
body.
anything, but who do you really need salt and pepper on your sandwich?
yeah, that's a fair point.
That's kind of
That's
odd.
a fair
That's
point.
an odd move.
My sandwich is basic as hell, so I just needed a little something.
Maybe get a better sandwich.
I don't like
Great
vegetables.
argument. Great argument.
So, I don't either.
Okay. So the only ingredient you have is Mountain Dew.
It was yeah.
Mm.
I'll grilled asparagus. I'll do that.
What the hell?
Is that weird?
I don't eat vegetables, but I'll have grilled asparagus.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's an insane. Like people usually say like carrots.
Nah.
Who goes to grilled asparagus?
That's like the
You're gonna
only-
be like, oh, my next one is cauliflower.
That's gross.
Brussels
We
sprouts.
tried cauliflower mashed potatoes. Tastes like they're like, oh, it tastes like mashed. No, it tastes like cauliflower.
So do you know what the mistake was there? Is still calling them mashed potatoes. They're cauliflower.
They were like,
They never become potatoes. No matter how much you beat them up,
I
they
know.
become potatoes.
No matter
oh, cauliflower rice. Cauliflower rice. It tastes like rice. No, it doesn't. It tastes like
No,
cauliflower.
it doesn't. It
Like,
tastes like cauliflower. It tastes terrible.
My mom, one of the very first times I brought my now fiance like to my parents and we were like all hanging out and stuff. My mom, who is I have always liked her cooking. She underseasoned, notably, many times in our childhood, but now she has gotten really good at like overcooking. No comment from you. I don't need to hear that. But when the first time me and Katie went over, as like a couple, whatever, my mom makes cauliflower mac and cheese. It's like, is this really the meal to introduce the love of my life to our family? Is this really what we want to like push forward? You know what we had at her family's the first time we went over? We had the big old rectangle pan pizza, and then they made brisket. We had pizza and brisket.
And you serve this woman
Cauliflower mac and cheese.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised you said yes.
I'm saying the same thing.
Like, I'd be
She
like,
brings it up all the time.
I
She's like, oh, we're going to Carney for Christmas. She's like, I wonder what your mom's going to serve us. Probably cauliflower mac and cheese. And no protein, no bacon, no chicken, nothing. Just that. That was it. That was our whole meal for the night. That's crazy. We had to sneak away. We had to go to Thunderhead at like 10 p.m. to eat that night because we were so damn hungry.
That's wild.
I've done
And my
that.
mom went to bed at like 8 p.m. She's like, what a great night. We ate at 5:30. We were basically a retirement home. That's what we did that night.
She said, great to meet you. Good night.
Yeah. It's crazy. And
Yeah.
she's always, like, it was the weekend. She was like, well, you know, gotta get up early. For who?
For what?
Yeah. She woke
here's
up
absolute-
at 5:30 on Saturdays for no reason. She's
Here's
like,
absolutely no food.
Why?
I
Sorry, Ange. Sorry you had to hear all that.
no, I listen. I've took a flamethrower to your dad on the show. It only makes sense.
Why don't we we'll just keep piecing up my family.
Mom
Austin's
and pop.
parents are
Next
saints.
week is Andrew, who lives in Alaska. We'll get him next.
Mom and Pop Jacobsen catching strays on the show.
I should send him a link and just be like, defend this take.
I will say one of the worst things we've done as a people in terms of food is just trying to substitute cauliflower in things.
Yeah.
Somebody suggested a cauliflower pizza crust to me the other day, and I almost hit them. I was like, why would you even suggest that? Do you hate me?
See, outside of like dietary restriction, which I completely understand, like things that your
Sure,
body cannot
yes,
process,
absolutely.
it hurts you, like whatever.
Yes.
Some people still
Like do
eat,
it by choice.
Yes, some people still do it by choice, which is perfectly fine. You want to put yourself through that? That's whatever. That's
It's
that's
not
your
perfectly
prerogative.
fine. That's my argument.
I can understand like if you're celiac and you have to have
yes.
like a cauliflower crust, gluten-free crust. Totally fine. I understand.
By the way, there's way better versions of gluten-free crust than cauliflower. Just want to put that out there.
But you can't look me in the eyes and say, "Oh, I can't tell a difference between."
I can't taste the cauliflower. You're a liar.
That's just bullshit.
And a bad
You're wrong.
person. You're
You're
lying to me.
Yeah.
Quit lying to me about the cauliflower. Somebody tried to serve me cauliflower rice one time, and I was like, no, I'm not eating
Okay,
this.
so cauliflower rice I'm a little bit closer to, but
It still tastes
again,
like cauliflower.
If there's an option between rice and cauliflower rice, there's no amount of washing of the cauliflower rice you can do to make that be rice.
If you want-
it's still cauliflower.
It still tastes
Yes.
like cauliflower.
And this is completely different, but all the protein hack people, where they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I make this chicken, this ground chicken pizza crust or whatever, and they're
yeah,
like, oh,
DB does that.
They're like, oh, it tastes just like pizza. It does not. It does not.
It might still taste good.
Yes.
but that's not going to
Yeah.
taste like pizza crust.
Like, okay, so great. Again, another pizza example. Instead of like getting all the dough out, making it all fancy the way I normally like to, instead of going out and buying something, I'll just do like you do the tortilla, you put some cheese, you put some pepperoni, and you fold it in half, whatever. You just like quesadilla that thing, right?
Yeah, it's a quesadilla pizza.
Yeah, I don't have to make a pizza to like impression pizza, but I'm not going to serve that to people and be like, "How about this pizza?"
Tastes just like pizza.
Yeah, who hasn't had this?
Here's your personal pizza, personal pan pizza.
I think I would get. If I served that like at my wedding, I was like, we're having personal pizzas. Oh, that's crazy. And it's just tortillas wrapped in half. People would lose their minds.
I would throw the tortillas at the like slap
you
tortillas.
you Texas Tech that thing.
Yeah,
I'd
high five.
toss them at me.
I'd be like, this is a good bit. This is a
So
good bit.
That would be
Wyatt
funny.
says, as an Asian, that's his words, not mine. Cauliflower rice isn't a good substitute. I would agree. There's actually
Funky
not.
Jim, that sounded like it's been brewing for a while.
Yeah, that'd been
That's so
bubbling.
true.
I would say usually if I substitute rice, it's quinoa, which is still not similar texture wise, but it's closer in the flavor profile.
And I don't mind quinoa.
I like
it's
quinoa.
grown on me quite a bit.
I like
too.
quinoa.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good.
It's also very neutral.
Yeah,
Very neutral.
that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't like cauliflower still tastes like butt. Like cauliflower does not taste good.
Yeah. You have to mask cauliflower.
Like it tastes like farts. Like it tastes like a fart smells. Like that's what cauliflower tastes like. It does. Cauliflower tastes like a fart smells.
Shane, thoughts?
I got no thoughts.
What's the last cauliflower you had, Shane?
I don't eat that.
Okay. That wasn't the question, but that's okay.
It's just hot pineapple.
Last cauliflower I had would be probably 80s.
Oh God!
I don't eat that. I do not eat that.
That's fair. No, that's completely fair.
That's what you
completely
asked. I said I
no.
don't eat it.
No, that's
Yeah.
a great answer. That's a great answer.
God, what is that's just a great question to ask yourself.
I'm
Like, when
trying-
the show wraps up, everybody on the stream, everybody listening on podcast, just ask yourself, when was the last time I had an X food? Right? Like you just
I'm trying to think what that food would be the longest gap I've had from having a certain
on
food.
the video team's office yesterday, they put up on the board the top 5. Was it foods to bring back, or what was it, Rico?
Yeah, it was like top 5 foods you would bring back, or top
Yeah.
5 things you would bring back, whatever it
I
was.
put grips. One was for me. I love grips. You remember
don't
those?
remember those.
They were the handheld, like basically like trail mix almost bags, but they had like it was like chips or so. I don't even know how to like describe them. They were.
It was like mini Cheez-Its or mini Chips Ahoy, like
yeah.
just in the bag, and like you rip it open, and like the commercial's like you just rip it and then you just toss it, and all the little.
Oh, I don't know that I've seen those.
They're old. Yeah,
Interesting.
these were big when I was growing up because they were a part of everybody's like soccer team.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just hand them out, and just. Boop. They're
was a
basically
quick thing.
they're the exact same as like a fun size bag of chips or something like that.
Yeah.
That's where post-game snacks is where I developed my love for zebra cakes. When you're in baseball, one of the moms brought zebra cakes like every time. I was like, these are awesome.
Whoa, amazing, Daniel. He doesn't remember the last time he had milk or cereal.
Oh,
we're a big cereal household, so that's the thing. Is like it's surprising for me, but it's also not because I probably went like 3 or 4 years without having any cereal.
Yeah, I go through stretches where I have it at least once a year because I eat Christmas Crunch on Christmas every day or every year since I was a little kid.
What's Christmas Crunch?
Oh, it's just Captain Crunch, but it's all Christmas shapes.
Okay,
so it's like trees and little, I think it's Santa hats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
that's like me with not Count Chocula, the strawberry version on Halloween. Frankenberry.
Yeah, I at least once a year I will have, and usually like a handful of times throughout the year I'll have cereal. Every once in a while I'll grab the giant thing of Cinnamon Toast Crunch from Costco, and it lasts me like 3 months, but still pretty good.
Yeah, I plowed through a box of Lucky Charms the other week.
Funky hasn't had a hot dog since junior high.
That's a long time. That's a long time. Now, unless you're in senior high right now, that's not as surprising, but that's still like, I'm
trying to think. I probably have never.
I'm at a lot of sports venues. I probably eat a hot dog a month, like at minimum. At minimum, I have a hot dog
in football season. It's definitely more for me.
Yeah, I gotta be careful about that. Well, yeah, I mean, you do.
No, it is.
Because sometimes, like, you arrive at a game and you're like, I'm standing on the sideline. Again, we go back to, like, the 8-man field and stuff. I'm, like, standing on the sideline. I'm just like, it's like 6:30. Like, I don't have anything else to do. I'll just go get a hot dog.
You're like, I wanted to make sure I got here on time, so I didn't stop.
And I don't want to eat, like, popcorn on the sideline. I do it at basketball games because I'm in the stands, but, like, on football.
Funky's 50, and he hasn't had a hot dog since junior high.
Oh, my God, Funky.
I think they've gotten better, Funky. You should give it another go.
Yeah, what made you give up on hot dogs? Like,
how did they make hot dogs back in your day, Funky? Yeah, because it's different now.
I bet there weren't all beef hot dogs.
Did you like lose a family member to a hot dog or something? Is that why you're anti-hot dog?
We should get Funky an Omaha Steaks dog.
We should call Omaha Steaks and say, "Do you want to come back on the show and talk about your hot dogs?"
I would love. I need them to bring more hot dogs. Those things were so.
We need
good.
to give their thing back. Do they?
Yeah, they need to come get their cutting board.
Yep. Yeah, they do. I need to talk to Matt.
And if it's not there, Caden took it. I'm just letting you know.
So it's still there.
He asked me about 16 times, like, if they were coming back for it.
Hey, can I have that?
Yeah.
Hey, can I have that?
I'm just telling you. Like,
no, Caden, you can't have it.
Yeah, I told him multiple times.
Caden, you don't even actually work here. Knock it off.
Damn, Ravi.
Wait, he's not an intern?
No.
Shoot. My bad, Caden.
Bro, you run the business. You should
Somebody
know.
hasn't been paying attention in meetings.
I don't run the people.
This guy. Ravi in full team meetings just waits for me to do a bit, and then he adds to it. That's pretty much it. Funky. Oh yeah, now Funky. Yeah, I'd be down to try an Omaha Steaks dog.
I would say, Funky, is this like on purpose, or you haven't happened to be at a
me and a hot dog haven't been in the same room for 36 years.
Been to a sporting event in 36 years.
Like smells a hot dog, and he's like, "Oh God, no."
We're all hot dog people at sporting events. We're popcorn people at movie theaters. I'm always at most high school games. I will do a hot dog and a pretzel. The pretzel, if it's an option. Now, pretzel's not always an option.
Yeah,
but especially at basketball games.
Good. Oh, pretzels usually are there at basketball games.
Yeah,
good hot pretzels are good.
But the problem is that at so many of these high schools, you will just get the microwave. Like they'll put like the little water in to like evaporate, and they'll put the pretzel in. If it's not on the spinner, I'm not getting it. I added that policy. I used to be, if I saw a pretzel, I'd get a pretzel. But now if I don't see it on the spinner, I don't get it.
Apparently, Funky got real sick from a hot dog at school lunch. The hot dogs are better now, Funky. I promise.
Where'd you go to school, Funky?
Daniel says I can't choose a hot dog if a brat, burger, etc. is an option. I'm taking a hot dog over burger.
Oh, and Carol, I'm not eating a hot dog for the protein. I'm eating hot dogs. I want hot dog.
Yeah.
Carol, the guy?
I'll be
hot dog all day.
I'll be honest. I go out of my way to get hot dogs. Like yeah. Like
what's your second option? Like Austin just said he'd go hot dog pretzel. What's yours?
If I'm not on the sideline, popcorn.
Okay.
I'll be honest. A lot of times I just go 2 dogs.
That's a good move.
Like I just get 2 hot dogs and a Diet Coke and I'm good to go.
What do you get if you don't have a hot dog? I just try for a second. That is good though. And honestly, nobody looks at you weird if you get 2 hot dogs.
No.
If you ate 2 popcorns by yourself, a little odd. If you ate 2 pretzels by yourself, odd. No one looks twice at the guy who eats 2 hot dogs at a game.
Absolutely not.
They're just like, oh, guy likes hot dogs. Cool.
If I'm going,
you also can't get 2 sodas for yourself.
If I'm going through not at the same time. You can go back, but you can't do it at the same time.
Because then people will be like, oh, it's the same one or whatever. but you can't be like walking down the stands.
Yeah, you can't be double barreling.
Yeah.
And then you sit in the corner by yourself with 2 hot dogs and 2 drinks, and they're like, "What's going on with this guy?"
I don't like sitting in the corner in that situation. It sounds a little odd.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't stay hydrated in the corner.
Okay.
I'll go popcorn. If I need to pick a second food item, I'll go popcorn.
It kind of gets limited after that, though.
It does.
I will go sour.
I like the
skip,
nachos.
like a third. Nachos are so hit and miss for me.
I need the cheese from the thing. I don't want the packaged cheese. Like you need to hit the yellow button.
I need the one that has the.
I want like meat with my nachos.
So I do appreciate that. I will say there is a special place in my heart for like the crappy stadium nachos where it's just like the yellow chips and the cheese out of the bag. Like that does.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the McDonald's cheeseburger for me. It's like, I know this isn't good, but sometimes it's what I want.
Just literal chips and cheese.
Yes. It's like sometimes this is the thing that I want.
Usually the saltiest chips in America, by the way.
And, oh man. Yeah.
That's the perfect amount of salt.
Yes.
That salt needs to be on the popcorn.
Iconic. But it has to be like the yellow chips. It can't be like
and rounds.
Yes, the yellow round chips and the cheese out of a bag
that don't fit the cheese.
They never fit in the. You have to break it.
Doing it anyway.
The ones at UNO hockey are pretty good like that.
Yes, great point.
I will
great
say,
point, Shane.
There are varying qualities of that version because sometimes the chips are stale, like they got to be fresh. But no, there's times nacho's a good call, Rico. There's times I'll go nacho.
Worst concession stand item to me that has not even the biggest variability, but between like really putrid bad to average is hot chocolate.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And you can throw coffee in there too. I don't order coffee like at the games, but just to warm myself up, it's like 90% of the time it is just water with barely a packet. It's like it's like they like whiffed a hot chocolate packet over the top and they're like, here you go, here's your hot water.
Yeah,
the hot chocolate at Nebraska football is really good. It's just impossible to drink if you get it in the first quarter until the fourth.
Yeah, it's scalding.
I've never ordered the hot chocolate there. Maybe I should try that.
Plus, you get a cool cup.
There are some of them that will dump the entire Swiss Miss package in there. And then there are some of them that like open the Swiss Miss package and whatever lands from opening the package, that's all you get.
That's 90% of the hot chocolates I have at high school games where I'm like, I literally just need to put something where my hands can be warm and like, heat myself up. And they're just like, here's this cup and they cover it. So that way they can't tell like how dark the liquid is inside.
That it's a LaCroix hot chocolate. Like it's just whisper of hot chocolate. Rumor of hot chocolate,
accent of hot chocolate.
Yeah, it is. It's hot chocolate adjacent.
That's a
they just poured the hot water.
Hot chocolate seltzer.
They went
hot chocolate.
Pretty much chocolate.
They just played the Tom Hanks song from Polar Express over the top of it.
L Walls says walking taco. You can't get those everywhere, but they are good.
Yeah, walking taco. So that now we're getting into a different category of like specialty items.
Yes.
Like walking taco, you get the big grill out happening on certain games, like that sort of stuff.
Roncalli has some specific items, I think, that are.
I mean, the Roncalli Euro.
Yes.
Oh my god.
There's
might be my favorite Euro that I can get most places.
What about that one at CWS? That CWS Euro was pretty good.
I couldn't stop going back. I kind of felt bad that I just kept going there, but I was like, I like what I like.
Listen, you know me. I tried a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I do at Baseball Village. I go around. I try as many different things that sound even a little appealing to me as possible. I think Euro won this year.
I was a little disappointed in the amount of our team that kept going back
Hawaiian
to the
noodle
same
place?
No, not well. It smelled electric, but
underwhelmed.
I saw the package that came out, and I was like,
underwhelmed.
Not for me.
No, way too many veggies, not enough noodles and meat. I don't even remember the name of the business, so I can't disparage them even if I wanted to. But I was disappointed. I will disparage our teammates who kept going back.
That's what I'm saying. And they were like, oh, it's close. And I was like, yeah, it's 10 steps to another place.
Yeah, like literally.
You're not even trying.
Literally 30 more feet and you will be at the Euro place. Get something better. I will say, the smell was intoxicating.
It was. And it sounded incredible. That's how they get you, the smell and sound.
But once I had it one time, I was like, oh, I'm definitely not going back for that.
But the Euro,
I did go back multiple times.
And also, they were like on speed round.
Yeah, they were fast.
Yeah, they would get them out quick.
They were pretty quick. And the quality didn't suffer. I was very impressed.
I was happy with it.
I was very impressed with the.
Yeah. If I were, I have to make another trip back to Roncalli just strictly because I want to eat there again. So I think that's going to become a part of my annual routine.
Been in several years. So let me know when you're going to Roncalli. Maybe I'll join you.
Yeah, we should just go at like 6 and just open up and then
go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I hear all the rumors about Roncalli. I hear all the rumors. I've never been.
I'm just here for the food, and then you go to a different game.
Yeah. Who are you playing? Duchenne? Nah, I ain't staying for that.
Let's take a quick break here. I want to do a blind ranking.
Oh, Walls, Knicks is closed.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Pour one out.
Yeah, I'm ready for blind ranking.
I would like to do a blind ranking of, it's going to be sports accomplishments.
Oh, okay.
What sports accomplishments would you, like, where would you put these? Scale of 1 to 5, or we've got 5 different spots.
And it's blind.
Blind ranking. I'll have you and Rico both do it because I haven't put it on the rundown. I've got my list, but I didn't put it on the rundown, so you guys don't know.
Okay, can't wait.
So we'll get that going next. I'm curious to see what you think. I tried to make it like, it wasn't like, hey, you're the best in the world ever at this. And this one's like, you made a minor league.
You won the youth league team.
You made a minor league roster. And it's like, well, those feel different. So they're like, just know that going into the rankings, I tried to make them all in the sort of the neighborhood. So it's maybe more of a personal preference for you. That is Austin. I'm Robbie. We'll be right back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
Are you feeling off, low energy, or asleep? At Next Gen Male Medical, we not only evaluate your testosterone, but overall health. Schedule a visit at nextgenmmc.com. Together, we'll get you back on your game.
Where the city is just a groovy place, and people knew it, in the early 20th century, and they're learning it now early in the 21st century. And I imagine the 22nd century they'll probably move the White House here. There'll be a big debate whether it be on the Kansas side or Missouri side. And I hope they build right on state line, right where Rockhurst currently resides. My sophomore year alma mater, if there is such a thing, my almost mater. But yeah, we couldn't have anticipated. I mean, we could have because we knew the World Cup was coming here before we made the show. But still, the love and enthusiasm for the city. And I love when it shows up on my algorithm without any prompting and having nothing to do with the show. Like when you see, all the Netherlands fans, that enclave, like moving down. I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense. Tell them, if you want to move Mardi Gras here, we'll give it a shot. Like, let's go. And keep bringing your throngs of people. Throngs.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. Reminding you, give our friends over at Next Gen Male Medical a call. 402-614-9700. Listen, I'm not saying they're going to give you anything that'll make you a home run derby champion, but they can get you feeling your best the way they have for me, for DB, for a bunch of our coworkers as well. They have gotten us to, I think, feeling better than we have in years. I don't want to speak for anybody besides me and DB, but I feel great. You know, I did a cartwheel yesterday and didn't injure myself. And
yeah, it was crazy. That was a crazy story.
Listen, I'm trying to get the
You did it
pictures
for content too.
I'm trying to get the I don't know if it's pictures or video that Sunburst has. We were out at the Sunburst Invitational yesterday. Some of us were, and
yeah, when you say we, that's loose.
well, yeah, there were multiple people from Hurrdat, but no one else in this room.
Thanks for the invite.
Listen, I don't make those decisions.
I also can't golf, so don't worry about that soon.
I can't either. That's why I did the cartwheel. I had to provide something for the team. But listen, I probably hadn't done a cartwheel since Shane ate cauliflower last, and I was like, I used to be able to do these in like high school. Might as well give it a go.
Why not? Let it rip.
And I'll be honest, I think I nailed it. Didn't hurt myself. I think I got credit next gen for that.
Fair. Okay.
Give them a call, 402-614-9700, and they can hook you up with the way they've helped us out as well.
Can we also just give you credit for doing a read while open pouring at the same time?
Thank you. I
That's
appreciate
incredible.
that.
That's incredible work.
I can pour a Diet Coke while doing almost anything.
Wow.
You know, just
a cartwheel?
Probably not a cartwheel. We should try. I don't think I can do a one-handed cartwheel. I need both hands. That'd be kind of tricky. But it's time. I want to do a blind ranking.
Okay.
We teased this before the break. I want you to blind rank these sports accomplishments. I have 5 of them.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right.
You just want to be Anna B for once, don't you?
I want to be the one not having to make decisions here so that she gives me Tom Osborne last and makes me look bad.
You should have known. You thought you were getting like Bill Jennings or something?
I thought I was going to get Frost. I thought she was going to try and trap me with Frost and put Frost at number 1, and I was not going to allow that to happen. I felt, there's
your
like
disdain for Scott Frost is much higher than your love for Tom Osborne.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
I don't know.
See, now you already double back.
I don't know. I will say I was more comfortable having Tom Osborne in a bad spot than I was having Scott Frost in a good spot.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know what that says about me, but here we are.
Okay.
But I've got 5 sports accomplishments that I think are in the neighborhood, depending on who you are, of there's some variance, but I think they're in the neighborhood of level of accomplishment, in my mind at least. So I'm gonna give you number 1 here.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Winning a Super Bowl as a backup.
Oh,
active roster.
This is already extremely tough.
You play some.
Okay.
But you are a backup. You're not a star.
I play some in the Super Bowl.
You play some. Yeah. Okay. Like you're a contributor to the team, but you are not a starter. Let's say you're a special team starter. So maybe you get in a little bit on defense as well.
Okay.
But like you're on kickoff and punt, return, coverage. Like that's the type of player I'm thinking here.
But your name has been said on a broadcast.
People who are very big fans of the team know that you are a contributor, but you're not a starter. And on special teams, you're like not the return man, right? Like we're not having a Desmond Howard moment in the Super Bowl here. This is and
in terms of sports accomplishments, like my personal value to it,
these are all individual accomplishments.
Okay.
Oh God. Winning the Super Bowl is the most team oriented of these accomplishments. I'll tell you that. I want you to rank these in terms of how good the accomplishment is.
Okay. I'm going to listen. You got to game the system when you can.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have to put this 3 just right down the middle.
Okay.
Because Super Bowl is the pinnacle of what you can get. And I'm guessing everywhere else is going to be there. I'm hoping that everything else is going to be a little bit more individualized. So it's a little bit more of like your personal goal. Okay. So
that is the most team oriented one.
I'm going to say it's 3.
Okay.
Just because it seems like the most team oriented one. And it's like the one. And also I can't put a Super Bowl victory 5. Like it's.
I mean, you get the ring. You've got the ring forever.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. And when I get down on my luck, I can sell it. So that'll be great for me.
Once a Super Bowl champ, always a Super Bowl champ.
Mm-hmm. Rico, are you going 3-2?
I thought about going middle, but I think with it being the most team oriented, like you said, I think I'm going to go 4. Still not 5, still very important, like you said.
Less about you, though.
Yeah, I'm a contributor. People know who I am. Well, fans know who I am. My name's been said on a broadcast. Maybe I get a tackle or a big block in the Super Bowl that's going to be replayed or something. But I'm going to go 4 just because outside of the fan base, it's like, oh, you want a Super Bowl? That's cool.
I
mean,
say
it's a big deal, but
I'm trying to come up with a Nebraska comp, like on last year, like maybe like a Vince Genatone.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm still keeping it 3. I feel comfortable with 3. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number 3 for you, number 4 for Rico. All right, next one up. Winning an Olympic bronze medal. Bronze medal, but not in like a sexy event. So not the 100-meter dash.
Listen. Okay, so my thought immediately is I'm one of the top 3 in the world.
You are.
I'm one of the top,
but
it literally doesn't matter the event as long as you're not going to say it's like it really doesn't. To me, it doesn't matter. Like it's the Olympics. You're top 3 in the world.
Think like biathlon or archery.
I hate to do this.
Like no track for you, Rico.
I hate to do this so early.
I was going to say also like so pole vault. Yeah, sure.
No track for you, Rico.
I hate to do this so early. That might be my 1.
Okay.
I might have to put it 1 because you're number 3 in the world.
That's true.
Like the backup in the Super Bowl, other people would immediately dismiss you and say, look at all these other positions that are better than you. You're 3rd in the world. Mm-hmm. And the only thing in my mind that could beat that is being 1st or 2nd.
There is a chance that somebody in that event gets popped for a PED and you move up to 2nd.
No, you are finished at bronze.
Just 3rd.
You're bronze.
That might be a 2 for me, just because in my sport, in my country, that would be massive. We'll just say it's USA. It'd be massive for me in my circle, but
your circle. But it's not a sport that nationally people are gonna like.
Equestrian.
It's like or synchronized swimming or like something like that, where it's like, hey, it's awesome, but it's not one of the things that captures the nation's attention every 4 years.
You can always say like, oh, I won a bronze medal at the Olympics. And like, oh my gosh, in what? And you're like, oh, in equestrian. Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like it's a big deal.
I would take a bronze water polo medal. I take that right now. Yeah, I think I'm going to put it 1. I'm going to put it 1 for me.
Water polo is team oriented, individual event.
Yeah. Probably that's probably too early, but I
all right, so you've got 1, you've got 2.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go 2. Olympics is a big deal.
Olympics is a big deal. All right. Speaking of big deals and once every 4 years.
Big deal.
Scoring a goal in a World Cup match. Not the final.
Yeah.
Not the final. I'm going to say round robin. I'm going to say round robin stage, scoring a goal in the World Cup.
So not even
group stage?
Group stage.
Oh, come on.
That's 5.
What country am I in?
Whatever. You could be US. You could be. I'll give you up to round 16. Quarterfinals and beyond are off the table, but up to the first 2 knockout rounds. Goal in one of those games.
Can we specify the goal?
It's not a game winner.
It's just a goal. Oh, not a game winner?
Not a game winner. Just
it doesn't look.
Scoring a goal in a World Cup match.
Can I tell you it's a bicycle kick? So it looks cool?
Sure.
Be replayed for years.
Too, because the list of people who have scored in the World Cup has got to be one of the shorter lists.
Especially if you're like, not just like,
what do you think is a shorter list? People who have scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, or people who have scored a goal in the World Cup?
Oh, from like a specific country, or in general?
Well, I mean, it would mostly be United States for the Super Bowl. So
no, I mean for the World Cup.
Oh, for the World Cup,
like every goal scored at the World Cup that's going to get pretty.
I guess because the World Cup's been around for a while too. So,
but it's probably shorter than every touchdown scored in the NFL.
Yeah,
I would guess.
Yeah.
It's probably a shorter list.
Plus, you have people who score multiple.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it at 4. My initial thought was 2. I got to hold that.
That's my 5.
That's your 5? All right.
Yeah.
You've got goal in the World Cup at 5.
Yep.
You've got
Super Bowl 4.
And bronze medal at 2. You've got bronze medal at 1. You've got backup in the Super Bowl as 3. And you've got the World Cup goal as 4.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next one up. Hitting 20 home runs in a major league season.
I'm going to put that 5. I can feel pretty confident about that. I feel like you get lost in the ether quite a bit. I just feel like that's
okay.
I feel like there's a lot of people.
At what number would it start to get interesting? 30?
Yeah, like where people start to recognize your season with other great seasons. I feel like 20 is not high enough for it to quantify where people would be like, oh, do you remember when he did this? You know what I mean?
I feel like at 30, you were leading the league for a substantial amount of time. At 20, I don't feel as if you were leading the league.
Not.
Except for maybe the first
has
month.
32 right now. Like Kyle Schwarber has 30.
He's been leading for a while.
No, but if you finished the season with 30, you were probably never leading the league in home runs.
Yeah, I guess.
At any point.
It's not going to go number one for me. So I guess that's 3.
And also, like, I'm not as baseball pilled by any means too, but the baseball season is so long. Like, I could hit 8 of them in the first, third stretch of the season, have an abysmal middle, and then finish out with 12, and it'd be like, oh, you finished with 20. That's like a decent season. But I could feel horrible about my year, because I was like so inconsistent with it. So,
all right, last one. Leading the NBA in scoring.
Oh, that's my number one.
This one to me has almost diminished so much. I have to put it 2, but
diminished how?
Well, it just feels like recently, like, oh, you get the scoring title, you do all this other stuff. Immediately, people will look to your game to diminish and tell you why you actually didn't deserve it because they look at efficiency higher than scoring.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know who led the league in scoring this year?
SGA.
You have an answer?
Shea.
Nope. Luka. Do you know who led?
Barely play. Did he play enough games?
He did. He qualified. Do you know who won it 2 years ago?
I'm gonna just keep saying SGA until I get it right.
That one is SGA. My point is, I think a lot of people don't always know who led the league in scoring. It seems like a really big deal.
And this is my argument for the 20 home runs.
And for me personally, I would
Jacob Padilla would know who I was.
I would love to have led the league in scoring because I love basketball. Like that'd be super cool for me, right? But like I would rather lead the NBA in scoring for a year, have like my one T-Mac year or whatever, right? Where I'm just, he had like 3 or 4 of them, but like I'd rather have like a T-Mac year. I'm like 32 points a game than I would score a goal in the World Cup for sure. Like no questions asked. Like that's way cooler to me.
Like
or win an Olympic bronze medal.
Yeah.
I'll throw this,
Danger. He's this 20 home run guy. Probably has the biggest paycheck of anyone. Maybe.
NBA leading scorer probably has. NBA
I'm going to throw this to my favorite player. Carmelo Anthony led the league in scoring 1 year.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal. And it's one of the, things that's on his Hall of Fame resume. Like,
Curry,
scoring champion.
Curry's done it a couple times. Durant's done it several times. But like, there's a bunch of them in here.
You also get paid a ton for scoring.
You do get paid a ton for it. But like, nobody cares. For the most part, nobody cares that T-Mac led the league in scoring a couple years. Like,
and I know this isn't part of it, but you're in MVP discussions. Like, you're obviously not going to win it because that's not part of this. But you're in MVP discussions. Which, if we're going to go with the whole 20 home runs, getting paid in basketball, you're going to get paid a ton for being, a top 3 MVP candidate.
Ooh, Stephen Young says leading the NHL in points. That's a good one.
Different for me. I would feel much better about that being 2 than the NBA. So I have bronze medal at the Olympics, NBA scoring, backup in the Super Bowl, World Cup goal, hitting 20 home runs. If I could switch those, I would put the backup in the Super Bowl 2. I would move World Cup up to 3. I would go NBA scoring and then hitting a home run. Otherwise, I feel pretty good about actually where I put everything.
So what was one?
One was a bronze medal at the Olympics.
Yeah, I think bronze for me, especially if it's not like in a one of the like sexy like premier sports, is definitely lower on the list.
I feel great about bronze medal.
I feel great about having bronze at number 2. And having
as a guy who got a lot of participation ribbons as a kid, bronze sounds pretty good.
It does sound great. But he said I couldn't have track, so I don't feel as great.
You feel good about your list, Rico?
I do. Okay. NBA scoring 1, bronze 2, World Cup. Was World Cup 3?
World Cup was 3.
World Cup was 5.
No.
I had Super Bowl 4.
And then, so baseball was 3?
Baseball was 3.
Because you got stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't putting that at 1.
There you go. That is our blind ranking.
I'm glad that you got to get that off your chest there.
I'm glad I got to get that off the rundown.
Is that what today is? Today is just get stuff off the rundown day?
Not everything, but I wanted to do that one.
Okay.
I've been working on that one for a while. I thought it was, I tried to pick good stuff.
Maybe next we'll do, Matt Rule talked about earlier, getting his best 11 players on the field.
We'll never get to that.
Is it on the rundown?
I actually don't know if it is today.
It is still on the rundown. Yes.
One day.
We got Steve Gardner coming up next. He's a baseball writer and reporter for USA Today, as we're at the unofficial and inaccurate halfway mark of the Major League Baseball season with the All-Star game tonight. We'll talk to Steve coming up next year on Hurrdat Sports Live.
was challenging ever since that first Iowa game at Iowa. Was really feeling it there, having a lot of problems running, and knew something was off. So we checked it out right after that game and kind of knew what was going on with it. So we had to adjust our strategy with practice. I didn't go live with practice for the rest of the season pretty much. Did a little bit toward the end of the year, just trying to get back in the flow a little bit. But yeah, a lot of meds and stuff like that. That definitely switched the strategy. But yeah, our team did a great job of figuring it out and helping me get past the year. And we got to a point where I really wasn't doing it. So it was great. I went down to Philly and got checked out and found out what was the problem. So we're able to fix it to there.
Everyone's talking about peptides. You are doing it right. At Next Gen Male Medical Clinic, peptide treatments are clinician guided, tailored to your goals, monitored for safety. Call today or visit nextgenmmc.com.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by Steve Gardner. He is a baseball writer for the USA Today. Steve, how are we doing this morning?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, we are doing really well at the unofficial halfway point of the Major League Baseball season here. We'll jump right in. I'm curious. Well, I want to start with the home run derby.
Okay.
Do you have like a historical fondness for the home run derby, and where has that gone over the last few years as they keep tinkering seemingly every year with the setup?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been okay. There have been some moments. I think of the Josh Hamilton display.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of times the guys who steal the show at the home run derby by hitting massive home runs or massive amounts of homers end up fizzling out in the finals, and that didn't happen last night. So I think I'm probably 40-60 on being a big home run derby fan. I think it's fun to see him hit home runs, but it tends to last an awful long time and lacks a lot of drama, though it did seem to have some last night. So that's a check in their column.
Yeah, we got a little bit of drama last night with the Kyle Schwarber, Jordan Walker kind of face off there in the final. And you got the Philly fans into it a little bit, which I think is always fun as well. I just I remember, I remember like the Griffey home run derbies from back in the 90s. I remember the McGuire Sosa one at 98 at Fenway. You know, so like I would like it to be like a really good event again. And I like last night felt a little closer. Like it felt a little closer, but I just wish that we could figure out a way to make it feel like it did when, and maybe it's just the names, right? Like it might just be the names.
That's totally true. And I think some of the more memorable ones that I can remember, I covered a handful of these, and, you know, Giancarlo Stanton winning. That was impressive. Aaron Judge winning was impressive. I remember Bryce Harper winning at Nationals Park in front of the home crowd. So you get that kind of excitement when they have somebody to root for, or as was the case last night, lots of guys to root against. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I think it does tend to drag out, and the length of the rounds, I think, is, to me, the biggest issue with it. I'd like to see things go quicker, but then you get into a fairness issue, and that's why they're always tinkering with it, it seems like.
Let's hop into the All-Star game before we get into the first half of the season here, because I have very similar feelings about the All-Star game as I did with the Home Run Derby, right? Like, it used to feel like a very big deal, and over the years it sort of waxed and waned as far as how important it felt or how entertaining it was. Where do you feel like we are right now with the MLB All-Star game, which has, for most of its history, been an iconic feature of the sports calendar, and it seems less so now than it used to be?
I agree with that, but still, when you get an all-star game in a professional sports league, I think the baseball all-star game is head and shoulders above the NBA, the NHL, and the non-existent former Pro Bowl. I mean, it's still actual baseball.
Sure.
It's still a game, and you've still got the one-on-one matchup of the pitcher versus the hitter that you don't really have in those other sports. So I enjoy it. You know, we went through the period of, you know, this time it counts, and there's a World Series home field on the line, and we went through the tie and everything that spurred all sorts of changes. I still get a really warm feeling just thinking about the All-Star game, the guys that are out there, the pregame introductions, and those one-on-one matchups. I mean, you know, you think of last year, Jacob Mizorowski throwing 100+ in there, you know, just those kinds of one-on-one matchups. And sometimes I think of the Randy Johnson versus
Larry Walker.
You know, there are memorable moments that pop up and can pop up at any time, which I think gives fans reason to watch the MLB All-Star game, as opposed to, you know, whatever happens in other sports.
I will say you're right. It is the thing that most resembles the actual sport that they play. So that's a huge positive in its favor. Part of the reason I ask is it seems like baseball is sort of having, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, is sort of having a moment in terms of sort of national relevance and like a cultural rebirth, in the sense that, you know, they made the pace of play changes a couple years ago. You've got some actual star power in markets that people care about. You've got young phenoms like Paul Skeens and Jacob Mizorowski. It seems like the game itself is sort of outpacing the importance of the All-Star break and the Home Run Derby, which I do find kind of interesting, because I always assumed if the cultural relevance came back to baseball, which I feel like it is, then the All-Star break wouldn't be far behind. But it does seem to still be a gap there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. I think probably one of the reasons for the feeling of resurgence now is because we've got new TV deals. You know, NBC is back covering baseball. You know, ESPN just acquired MLB Network. So now ESPN is actually excited about baseball again, when, you know, in the previous, 5-10 years, ESPN really hasn't cared about baseball, you know, putting it frankly. So I think there's that. You've got the evil empire that is the Los Angeles Dodgers. You've got the New York Yankees in the American League, who are, you know, very relevant, and especially will be once Aaron Judge comes back. So you've got the big name teams, which you need for rivalry's sake. And then you also have just about everybody still in contention for a playoff spot. And I think that's one of the things too that we need to have if there's going to be a large countrywide interest in the sport. You need a lot of people, a lot of teams involved and in contention, and you need to have the big guns that draw the eyeballs on a national stage.
I'm old enough to remember when the evil empire was just the Yankees. So
yeah.
I will say, though, speaking of the Yankees rival, and you mentioned everybody being in playoff contention still, I'm a big Red Sox fan. All of a sudden, this is a team that I had counted out basically late April, right? Like that team had been terrible. They go through the managerial and staff changes and everything like that. They win 9 in a row on the road, which they haven't done in 50 years, basically. And all of a sudden, they're a half game out from the third wild card spot, and you've got a bunch of Red Sox fans that are like, oh, wait a second. Maybe we do have to pay attention after the All-Star break. Maybe we aren't sellers at the deadline.
Right.
Who knows what the ownership's going to group is going to do. I never know with those particular owners. But I do. Do you feel like, I'm going to ask a Red Sox specific question here because I'm selfish, but do you feel like the 9-game winning streak is indicative of, hey, maybe they've figured some things out? They've weirdly been way better on the road than at home this year anyway. Or is it just kind of like, hey, sometimes the math is going to work out. You're going to have a nice streak when you've got, I mean, it's not a bad roster. It's an underachieving roster. Figured something out or just kind of caught lightning in a bottle before the break?
No, I mean, can it be both? I mean, certainly you don't run off 9-game winning streaks, just by chance.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's part of the way that baseball is right now. And, you have so many teams that are capable of doing exactly that. And it's interesting, I think, to this season in particular, you make a change in the dugout, you go, the team gets a boost. That happened in Boston, happened in Philadelphia. And those, the Phillies now are suddenly thinking about possibly being a playoff contender when things did not look very good early on in the season. So, yeah, I think it's just a product of how good all the teams are, and you can get on a hot streak. And, remember, the Red Sox have done this without Garrett Crochet. And so you start thinking about, okay, well, later on in the season, what could happen? You just have to get into the playoffs, and then you have a shot. As we've seen, so many times before, baseball postseason can be topsy-turvy, and you don't have to be the best team during the regular season. You just need to get into the playoffs and then work your magic.
Steve, speaking, obviously we talked about the Red Sox, in my opinion, underachieving early. Same with the Phillies there. I want to ask you a question about who's had the greatest variance from what you expected from them in the preseason, both to the good and the bad. Team that has overachieved your expectations and one that has, or maybe a couple that have dramatically underachieved as well.
Well, I'll start with the underachieving. The Toronto Blue Jays, I think, have to be at the top of that list for me after, such a fabulous run in the in last season, getting all the way, that close from winning it all, adding Dylan Cease, who's been really good and is going to start the All-Star game for the American League. So you add an All-Star starting pitcher to that roster, and yet they're in last place as we go to the break in the American League East. So that's extremely disappointing. Obviously, the New York Mets have been terribly disappointing over in the National League, and that dysfunction just continues to be, one of the craziest situations in all of maybe even pro sports. In terms of teams that have succeeded, I think the Atlanta Braves, for a squad that has had so many injuries and has been able to overcome each and every one of those to be, the third best record, I think, in the National League going into the break. And obviously in the American League, Chicago White Sox, I don't know that anybody saw this coming. And you look at the roster and you say, how are these guys, tied for first place in the AL Central after just a couple of years ago being the absolute worst team in baseball history, just about. That's quite a credit to the folks there. with the White Sox for getting them on the path to being what looks like a team that could be a contender, going forward. That they got a young nucleus, and the future seems very bright there on the South Side.
Yeah, Steve, that's my question for you, is just about the White Sox. Is how do you see this working out for them as they move forward through the rest of this season? Obviously, you kind of have to stave off the rest of the AL Central because it is a tight race there. But are the White Sox an actual, I guess, October threat when you get further into where this postseason is going to be coming to a near?
I don't see that happening. I mean, the AL Central for all of the accolades that we give the White Sox for being, in tied for the division lead, they're still only 5 games over 500. And the division is probably the worst in all of baseball. So, the best of the worst doesn't make you on the same level with the best in the other divisions. So I think it's a great step forward, and they're one of a few teams actually in the American League with a positive run differential.
Mm-hmm.
The American League has been so inferior to the National League and interleague play that, you get that kind of discrepancy. But what they've done, they're scrappy, they get things done. And I say, congratulations to them. They're still a ways from being, up in that contender stage, at least in my book.
Before we get to who actually are your contenders, we were having this discussion a couple weeks ago on the show about the best run teams, the best run organizations in baseball. I think we narrowed it down to Tampa and Milwaukee in terms of teams that just consistently produce at a super high level, regardless of payroll or who leaves and whatever else. Who would you take in terms of best run organizations between those two? And B, is there anybody else that should be included in that group?
I think Milwaukee head and shoulders above everybody. I mean, it's just amazing. Every year I look at, the rosters and the history and everything and say, how does Milwaukee continue to do that? They had the best record in the majors last year. It wasn't the Dodgers. It wasn't the Blue Jays. It was the Milwaukee Brewers, and they fizzled out in the playoffs. But again, coming back, they trade away Freddie Peralta, in the offseason. No big deal. We've got pitching. It seems like they grow great pitchers on trees in the minor leagues or something there, because they just bring up guys, unheralded guys, and then high draft picks like the Miz to just make it work. And somehow they're able to do that. So I think Milwaukee completely number one in terms of organization. As for, maybe anybody else that could join that group, I think we sometimes give a lot more credit or additional credit to organizations like the Guardians and the Rays fit into this category as well, who don't spend a whole lot of money but still get pretty good results.
Yeah.
And I don't know. If I'm going to say it's a well-run organization or one of the best run organizations in baseball, I want to see that team not only, field a good team, but field a championship caliber type team. And that to me is the difference between the Rays and the Guardians versus the Brewers.
It's funny when you're talking about the Brewers and you're talking about the endless supply of arms that they seem to find or develop or whatever. It is kind of funny, even with Mizorowski, right? Like, to turn into what I get he was a second rounder, but he wasn't 1-1 like Skeens.
Right.
Second rounders in the MLB draft, as you very well know, it's like, you're flipping a coin with those guys at best, right? And so to end up getting this version of Jacob Mizorowski's career so far early on, when you've got the raw tools and you've got the 6'7" frame and all that, there's a lot there.
Right.
But to actually get this version out of him, I don't know that they're getting enough credit for him. He wasn't the labeled phenom the way Skeens was, right?
Exactly.
We had Skeens 1-1 the minute he stepped onto campus in Baton Rouge.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, player development. That's what the Brewers do so well. That's what the Dodgers do so well. Those are the kinds of things that take you from, a middle of the road organization to a great organization. And the Brewers, especially in pitching, and I give a lot of credit to Pat Murphy and those, the guys in the organization that, kind of focus on that and concentrate on that and do such a great job.
Last one for me here, Steve. As we look at the second half of the season, as it were, what teams are you looking at as far as like, hey, you really like how they're positioned, even maybe if they didn't have the best first half of the season? And which teams are you looking like, hey, I think they come back to the pack a little bit?
Well, I'll tell you, I think one of the more underachieving teams in the first half is the Seattle Mariners. And I they are below 500. They were in first place for a little while in the AL West, but I look at that pitching staff and see so much potential for domination, and they got to a point where they have too many good starting pitchers, even. Perhaps at the trade deadline, if they can, maybe trade Luis Castillo or somebody to get some more offense on that squad, I think they can be really dangerous. Certainly the Yankees, once they get Aaron Judge back, are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'm interested. I think the team I'm most interested to see what happens with is the Miami Marlins. They have been, a fabulous team at home. You wonder how they're making things work. But if they would just, maybe go out, get another bat. If they want to add, we always think of the Marlins as sellers at the trade deadline, but if they can just convince, the front office to maybe spend a little money and go out and add a couple of players, add some bullpen depth where they've had some issues this season, I think the Marlins could be really interesting. So you can't count them out, I don't think. But I'm certainly going to be watching what they do coming out of the break and how that impacts them going toward the trade deadline.
That is Steve Gardner from USA Today. Steve, we appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the All-Star game tonight, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Thanks so much. Take care.
That is Steve Gardner from USA Today. I gotta say, he brought the Mets up earlier. I would pay a pretty good amount of money to get a in-depth, like true serum documentary on what's happened there, just in terms
because
of
the Knicks are good.
Well, I mean, it's, how hard it is to spend that much money and be like, I understand not being the Dodgers. Yeah. I understand falling short. I understand not winning the World Series, but to not even be in playoff contention.
Yeah, there is a direct correlation in Major League Baseball with amount of money spent, because usually you're spending it on great players and success on the field. And from the beginning, they were never good.
Yes.
Like, they fell off the cliff right away.
And this has been a few years of like underachieving despite having ungodly payrolls. Like, they will pay for anybody, and they always have underachieved the last few years. And
what's Soto's numbers?
I mean, so last year they finished barely above 500, but they were 13 games out of first place. This year, obviously, they're in last place. We've seen them do this year after year after year. 2 years ago, they were in third place behind the Phillies and the Braves. Like, this has been a wildly disappointing run of we will pay anything for anybody and not get anything out of it. I mean, 2023, they were under 500, didn't make the playoffs. Like, this is a team that's been spending money for a hot minute and has not been able to, hasn't cracked 90 wins in the regular season. Like, there's usually a much closer correlation to money equals at least a certain level of regular season success. After that, things, playoffs and whatever, things can get a little wonky, but to not even be able to crack 90 wins in a regular season, spending that much money is bonkers to me.
And the only reason I brought up Soto specifically is because he's obviously the biggest name on that pillar, but I've never thought that he has been the biggest issue for them. And some people put a lot of pressure on that because he's the most expensive player. He's the one that is the biggest name, but they have a lot of other people who have not lived up to snuff, and it's not necessarily his fault. Now, obviously, could he be performing at a higher level?
Sure.
Maybe, right? Like maybe his stats, because all of his numbers are a little bit down from his solo year when he was with the Yankees, and with the Mets, he hasn't necessarily met that mark each time. But I mean, he's very comparable to where he was in 24 before he made the switch over to the Mets. And I mean, now you're looking at it and you just say, okay, so where did it fall apart? Like which pieces are the ones you have to move on from? And that's the hardest part, is because they're all expensive. Like you don't want to just keep paying guys to not play baseball. So you're stuck in a loop of, oh crap, we've got a lot of expensive people that we got to pay, and we don't have a way to move on from them.
Yeah, I mean, they've brought in, Marcus Semien, who is batting, or they're paying a lot to Marcus Semien, who's batting 214. They're paying a lot to Bo Bichette, who's batting 250 and only has 10 home runs. Like you've got, like, yes, Juan Soto is more or less holding up his end of the bargain, but it's when you've got a couple of guys hitting well below what you would expect from them. And then you've got a guy who's, just a step off maybe of where he was, with the 43 home runs last year. You just start to look and you go, okay, you actually need more from him, but it's not really, like you said, it's not even about him. Baseball is so disconnected from individual success to team success that Juan Soto could hit 60 home runs this year, and that isn't going to make a huge difference for him.
Ask Mike Trout.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They had Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani on the same team, and it didn't matter. Like, it just did not matter.
Yeah.
You had one of the best players of the generation and maybe the most talented baseball player of all time.
Yeah.
And it just didn't matter at all. I'm fascinated by the Mets. I'm fascinated by basically what's been wrong with them since 2022 when they had, I think they were tied for the best record in baseball, or they were right there with them.
Do you think there's something that the MLB learns from this? I don't think that there is, because
I don't think the MLB cares.
No, because I'm
asking
you
mean teams
more,
like on how they run teams.
Yeah. Because I'm asking, because the opposite is always true. Is like, okay, whichever team wins the World Series, whichever team wins the Super Bowl, right? Yeah, everybody wants to copy what they do. How did they get to that level of success? What do we do to get there? But on the opposite side, I don't know if anybody ever looks at and says, oh man, that's a really, really bad team.
Yeah, this is the blueprint to avoid.
Here's what we need to avoid. Because it's like we said, though, in baseball, there's almost some guarantees at different times, right? Like, okay, if you pay for the best players, if you have one of the more expensive rosters, you're not guaranteed a World Series.
No.
But you are almost guaranteed to be in the playoff push. Like,
at least in the neighborhood of a playoff, of a playoff discussion. It's fascinating. I would love to see a documentary in the last few years with the Mets, just to be like, what's going on here? Like,
what's going on?
What's going on with the New York Mets? Let's take a quick break here. Coming up next, we've got Connor Eargood. He's covering Michigan State and is going to give us a little preview on the Spartans as we go through Nebraska's schedule for the 2026 football season. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. We'll be right back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
Feeling tired? Foggy? Just off? At NextGen Male Medical Clinic, we offer hormone evaluations, peptides, supervised weight management for men and women. Most insurance accepted. Schedule a visit at nextgenmmc.com.
she's on a track that when she got older, I always thought she could end up going down as one of the best middle blockers ever to play here at Nebraska. And it's just cool to see her on that trajectory. Again, she still has a lot of work to do. I also think she's going to be an athlete that she's going to be really good this fall. But I think even in a year or two from now, if she keeps continuing to play, people are going to see her even like explode even more, because I think there's a lot of things that she's just years and reps behind a lot of players her age, because she didn't play, she didn't start volleyball when she was super young like some of these kids do. And, you know, she was playing on a club team that was really good and really ready, like really beneficial, but she didn't necessarily play in all the big club tournaments growing up, you know? So I think her first like taste of playing like middle blocker at a high level was when she was on Jamie Morrison's under 19 or 17 team back in like 2021, 22. So, I just, you know, one, grateful for Andy, but also at the same time, like, her recruitment process was really different just because she didn't follow the same mold as a lot of the players that we tend to recruit.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. DB is off coaching a little football. He will be back tomorrow.
Little football?
Well, he's coaching a little bit of football.
Like Shane and Rico football?
Not like Friday Night Tykes. You remember that show?
Little Giants. I'm more Little Giants.
Little Giants fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
The annexation of Puerto Rico, correct?
Yeah, I believe that's the
something like that.
Is that for Rico?
Of Puerto Rico?
We are joined now by Connor Irgood. He is covering Michigan State and from the Detroit News, and he's got an interesting football season coming up here with a new football coach. Connor, thanks for joining us. How are we doing this morning?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
We're doing well also. I want to start, we're going to rewind a little bit before we get to Pat Fitzgerald and Michigan State here. On the ground there, like what would you say was the point at which the Jonathan Smith thing we decided it wasn't working as a collective up there in East Lansing?
Yeah, it was the homecoming game against UCLA. And mind you, UCLA was coming off, I think they upset Penn State, I want to say, with an interim. And wasn't the only loss to an interim team, interim head coach, by the way, for Michigan State. Two of their losses were, which probably says something about the state of the coaching. But no, it was the UCLA game. That was the sort of jumping the shark for the fans, right? They said this isn't working anymore. This doesn't make any sense. Yeah, there were a few just play calling decisions in that game, substitutions, all sorts of stuff that just went afoul. And UCLA wasn't that great, as we all know. Rattled off some big wins, but that was the point where a lot of fans gave up and sort of necessitated the last month of Jonathan Smith's tenure. Everyone knew he was gone. I think he even knew it as well. So a bit awkward, but now Pat Fitzgerald's in the fold and one of the Big Ten's kind of more established coaches that's taking over and looking to sort of build back the program and his own reputation. So it should be a pretty interesting fall.
Connor, I'm curious just on that same boat when Pat Fitzgerald gets hired and everything. I was asking Ravi during the break, looking back on that Northwestern tenure, what was that identity that he's maybe talked about as he first started here at Michigan State in these first couple of months? Has he talked about what he wants the program to look like? And does it seem similar to what he was running at Northwestern?
Yeah, toughness. I mean, that's all he's preaching at this point. There's a lot of foundational things that Michigan State needs, right? It's sort of like moving. You misplace things if you move 3-4 times in a span of 4 or 5 years. So there's a lot of things that need to be built through recruiting, through standard practices, and through just effort, right? And I think that's where the toughness side of things comes from. He keeps saying the line toughness was born here. Talks about all the times in the Big Ten when he played Michigan State back in the day, and wants to reestablish a bit of grit that even if they lose some games, which I think even he's not fooling himself, they're going to lose some games this season. At least they can hold their hat on something that played hard, played tough, the sorts of things that you want to see a rebuilding program go through. So it's going to be a patient build in East Lansing for sure. When I look at this roster, the talent isn't kind of eye catching. There's a few spots where I think they have some talent, but and we can get to that later. But this is going to be a rebuilding year, but there are a lot of bedrock principles that it seems like Pat Fitzgerald and his first-year staff want to accomplish.
I'm curious, Connor, with the hiring of Pat Fitzgerald, was it, what was the overall reception of that? Because you did have, he kind of came off the controversy at Northwestern and sort of put that thing to bed with all the legal proceedings finally wrapping up. But past that, the last 2 years at Northwestern were pretty rough. I mean, it was a really rough go for him, which I think precipitated letting him go for them a little bit more palatable with the other controversies that were going on. What was the reception between the losing at the end of the Northwestern tenure, how the tenure ended, and then getting everything resolved on an off the field standpoint? I mean, I get Pat Fitzgerald's a huge name in the Big Ten, but what was the reception of him as the new football coach?
Yeah, it was mixed. I think the greater majority of people were excited. And the thing that I think made that so is that Pat Fitzgerald was all aboard as soon as he was on campus. He was one of the earlier coaches to decide in the carousel as well, which I didn't really expect. I thought Michigan State was going to have to put up some money and renegotiate and go through all the things that you see in the coaching carousel happen, right? But no, he decided early. He decided he was a Spartan and has been pretty adamant about that message, right? Still acknowledges his past at Northwestern, still acknowledges, hey, I'm a Wildcat. I graduated from there, but wants to build something at Michigan State. He is a really close friend of Mark D'Antonio, and I think that makes it very easy that that's sort of the program, not to say high water mark because they won some national championships in the 50s and 60s, but since probably Duffy Doherty, since George Perlis, he's the first coach to really get something going. And so I think Pat wants to take a lot of the elements he saw that D'Antonio was successful in, and he's around the building again, which is fun to see, but take some of those elements and sort of make them his own. But yeah, no, there were some fans who saw, hey, 4-20 record over the last 2 seasons. Obviously there's a scandal involved, which people are still touchy on bringing up in Michigan State territory. So that's been interesting to navigate. But yeah, there are some people who are concerned, and you get that with any coach, right? Even a guy who goes, 12-1 somewhere isn't necessarily guaranteed to, be a shoe-in success story at any other university. There's different resources, there's different opportunities, there's different recruiting grounds, and there's just a different energy, right? Some of this job is luck. So, there's a lot of things Pat Fitzgerald thinks he has going for him at the Michigan State job, and it seems fully committed to Michigan State at this point.
Connor, I'm glad that you brought up D'Antonio, because that was one of the thoughts that I had too, just because, being here in Omaha and in Nebraska, there's a lot of talk about how long a rebuild needs to take, especially now with the Kurt Cignetti of it all that always gets brought up. But, whether you're Matt Rule at Nebraska in year 4 or Pat Fitzgerald at year 1 at Michigan State, what is that pulse maybe from the background of it internally at Michigan State and maybe with the fan base? Is there an expectation that this is going to take some time and kind of needed a little bit more massaging to be able to get Michigan State back to where they were with D'Antonio? Or is there a lot of pressure to be able to turn this around quickly and make sure by the end of year 1 or year 2 that you see significant returns?
It's two-sided. So the long-term success, right? Contending for Big Ten championships, playing some pretty relevant football, college football playoff. That's pretty far in the picture, right? And I mentioned there's some sort of kind of bedrock principles that need to be established. They've misplaced a lot of things over the past, I would say, 5-ish years, probably since 21. And even in that season, there were some things that for a team that probably should have been in the college football playoff had they won that Purdue game, and sort of not falling apart. There were some things that Michigan State needed to find. And it seems like the meantime, the sort of, next 2-3 seasons here, the thing that Michigan State fans want to see is just effort, just that toughness that Pat Fitzgerald has really hit on the head. I think what a lot of fans are looking to see from his team. There were games last season when Michigan State folded. UCLA was an example. Penn State, they fought. Minnesota was iffy because they blew a late lead. Iowa, they sort of gave it up late. There were a lot of games where you could question the sort of overall production and commitment, right, from a number of guys. There are some folks who stayed. And it's funny, 2 years ago, Aiden Childs had a quote at the end of the season, they might have to clean house. That's paraphrasing him. Michigan State cleaned house in this offseason. I think 30-some guys hit the transfer portal. They brought a bunch of guys in. And I think they did lose some talent in that process. But they also gained guys who are very committed to sort of the long term here, right? And building something. So sometimes you do have to sort of reset. It seems, especially in the portal era, when that's more common, and you're not necessarily beholden to a class that you recruited 4 years ago. Michigan State has been quite aggressive in getting guys who sort of want to be in the mix, who want to be day one guys, I guess you would call them, of this era. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Connor, I'm curious. You mentioned the previous era and expectations for time frame of a turnaround and things like that. But kind of like zooming out a little bit, let's say that Pat Fitzgerald gets Michigan State back to where basically he had Northwestern in their good years, right? Obviously, there's more resources, fewer restrictions than there were at Northwestern. We all understand those challenges, but let's say that he gets them in the 7 to 9 win neighborhood most years. Is that long-term a place where Michigan State fans are comfortable living? We'll call it the Iowa zone for lack of a better example here. Like, is that a place where it's like, hey, we may never make a college football playoff. Maybe we will if they expand it to 24 teams, but this is just kind of where we live. We're never really gonna bottom out. We're just in this, call it upper middle class of the Big Ten. Is that a comfortable place for Michigan State fans?
It would be at the start. It would be at the start, 100%. I think 4 seasons of losing football, no bowl games, some pretty bleak 4-8 years, and 5-7 the past little run here. I think there's a lot of fans that would trade that for 9 wins. But I think you get this sort of Jim Harbaugh, James Franklin effect, where 9-10 wins starts to, it starts to get a little too sweet, right? And you want to make that next step. You want to feel at least a little bit of pain from a loss of at least getting to the college football playoff, at least, winning a Big Ten championship or losing in the championship game. You sort of get that, well, what's next? I guess every football program in the country theoretically is building toward a national championship, right? There's a lot of programs that know they have no shot. But I think Michigan State believes that it can contend. Michigan State's done it in the past. Part of it is a problem of administration, and Michigan State is obviously looking for a new athletic director, and that doesn't really help things when you've had 3 guys in the office in a 3-year span, or what's going to be here. So, I do think that there are some maybe fundraising things that could help Michigan State. The NIL market, they haven't necessarily been the most aggressive on, at least since the Mel Tucker era. So it could be interesting to see where that goes with a guy like Pat Fitzgerald, that when he walks into a room and you talk ball, he tends to win a lot of people over. And he's got a linebacker-ly gruff to him that I think a lot of donors are probably going to like to see. So the big thing for Michigan State to get to that next point is probably going to be more administrative than what he can do. I do think he plays a role in it, but Michigan State has some building to do for sure to get to that point.
Connor, just looking at what's coming up for this upcoming season, do you expect this to be maybe a more youthful and younger starting lineup, or at least just roster in general, because of what you mentioned with the NIL, maybe some of their acquisitions in the offseason, but just in general, when you're starting a rebuild, sometimes it's easier just to go younger and plan for that long-term future. Do you expect Fitzgerald to go that way, or do you think that it is truly trying to balance that competitive nature for 2026?
Yeah, I think they'll start some experience in some important spots. I think the offensive line, they've got a few transfers who are sort of on their last season, right? And transferred to play for Nick Tabaka, who was at Wake Forest and then took a year off. he's got a good group of guys who are a little bit experienced. We'll see how they gel. But they are young in some positions. I think at wide receiver, there's some youth. Alessio Milivojevic, obviously the quarterback, is a redshirt sophomore. The running back group, there's some guys who were on the younger side, but also have played a couple seasons of ball. Cam Edwards, the sort of lead back, is I think in his last season of eligibility. So they're sort of all over the place, just by nature of who they could get in the portal. They knew they were going to have to shop around and get a lot of guys, but I think the younger players are guys who maybe don't have all the name recognition now, but at least have flashed some talent. And I think of a guy like Rakeem Johnson on the offensive line, who had some really good games at guard last year and some really bad games at guard last year. Alessio at quarterback had some really, really good starts, and he had some really forgettable ones. I look at the running backs here. Brandon Tullis could not pass protect to save his life out of the backfield, but man, he could run in sort of short yardage situations and really get them something. So there's a lot of young guys who want to prove something this season and take some steps here. There's also some guys who I think see the opportunity of playing Big Ten football, playing for Michigan State, and sort of building that draft resume for a year, and getting to say you were a sort of foundational guy for what could come next year. I think a lot of guys are taking that in stride.
Connor, what are some of you mentioned earlier that there's a few places on the roster that you kind of like where they're at, even if the overall roster isn't where you hope it is in a couple years. Where are some of those units or position groups that you're like, yeah, I actually think they might have something here?
I think quarterback for sure. Alessio Milivojevic, I think, is a good, not like system quarterback is used as sort of a derogatory term at this point, but he can run a system. He is a smart quarterback. I rarely see him make the wrong read, at least from my vantage point. I'm sure his offensive coordinator's probably got some critique. He doesn't do anything where you're like, now what the heck is he trying to do here? He doesn't shock you. And that goes two ways, right? He's not a guy who's corking 40, 50-yard bombs, but, he does a very good job of controlling, especially with the talent that Michigan State has, the sort of the pace of the offense, what they can get play to play. I think running back, they have a lot of depth as well. They have 4 or 5 guys who could be a Division I starter. Are they going to be bona fide Big Ten every down backs? We'll see. And I think that's what a guy like Cam Edwards, I mentioned earlier, guy in his last season eligibility, tore it up at UConn last season. This is a good opportunity for him to prove to an NFL team, hey, I can be sort of a bell cow for a, in a more reputable league, right? The Big Ten is known for having real good run games and being real physical. So I think that's an area that they have a bit of a leg up. Jajan Patterson was at Iowa. Marvis Parrish was at Western Kentucky and had some pretty productive looks. He looked really good in the spring showcase. Tullis is back. So they've got a good group there. I think defensively, the secondary actually looks pretty good. They got a lot of guys from smaller schools. Michael Richard, they got Trey Chappell, guys who maybe were less touted, but had a lot of productions and a lot of takeaways. Michigan State has not been able to get the ball off other teams. Not many picks, not many fumbles. Usually early in the season against kind of the scrubbier teams that they play, they've been able to get those. But in Big Ten play, it's basically if it's not getting kicked to them, they're not getting it. So Michigan State took some strides there, it seems, at least in personnel of guys who are ball hawks. How that plays into the Big Ten season, right? When you play yourself, it's hard to know exactly how you are. But the secondary looked capable of getting some takeaways, capable of strapping up and stopping some guys. So I'd say that's an area that they have potential. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a strength just yet, but I could see it being a strength come September.
Connor, that's actually the last question I have too, is mostly on that defensive line, edge rusher, where the sack's going to come from, because it feels like that's been not necessarily Fitzgerald's, missing piece in some of the Northwestern defenses, but he didn't really have a lot of those premier pass rushers at his time at Northwestern. Is there someone on the roster that you can kind of point to and say, like, this is a guy that's going to come up and maybe has that ability, or do you think it might have to come in a bigger group setting?
Yeah, I mean, that's a match made in heaven because Michigan State hasn't had sacks in 2 years. I think that's an area that they're going to need to have a lot of improvement. Kenny Suarez Jr. is going to be a big part of that. He was a Northwestern guy, played at NC State for a little bit. It looked like in spring And granted, the offensive line is still figuring things out, and it's best and best, and you're not really trying to hurt each other. But he looks pretty good. He looks speedy, twitchy, all the things you want to see from a good pass rusher. They have a lot of guys who are in that 6'6" to 6'8" range. I'm not going to say the meme 6'7", but they have a lot of guys who have some bona fide size. And the thing with their group, and Joe Rossi talks about this, the defensive coordinator, he just wants smart players. You don't necessarily need to be the most athletic. He just wants to build from a base of knowledge that you can understand the game. You can understand where you need to be. They almost are trying to outwit teams. I think they have a decently smart group. They have a lot of guys who've played a lot of ball and some guys who produced at a lower level. They don't have a whole lot of young edge rushers. I mean, they have a couple, but more guys who are probably longer term sort of prospects. But it's sort of a put up or shut up year for the pass rush here to show that the past 2 seasons weren't a fluke or were a fluke. And that they can get to the backfield, they can pressure the quarterback. Some of the sacks they had last year, I wouldn't even say were earned, and they didn't have that many of them. It's been the number one problem for this defense. And I talked about the secondary earlier. Those guys really are invested in seeing any sort of pass rush because it's going to help them out tremendously. And if Michigan State can get that component, I think they have the means to be a really good defense. And the linebackers are going to be part of that too. Jordan Hall coming back was huge for Michigan State. But the pass rush is going to have to get a whole lot better. Defensive line, they're small, a little bit inexperienced in the interior, but they have some raw size on the outside that maybe they could leverage.
Connor, what is a win for Michigan State in terms of total wins this year?
I think if they go 5-7, some fans are going to be miffed, but I don't think that's a bad outcome. I think the 4-8, 5-7 range is probably where I would project them. I think it would be a major coup if Pat Fitzgerald could get this team to a bowl game. And whether they win or lose it, I think that would do a lot to give him some sort of early momentum. And that's what was missing in the Jonathan Smith era, right? Reminding people, like, they went 3-0 the past 2 seasons in the first 3 weeks of the season. I guess they played Maryland in the first season as one of those wins, but they've had strong starts. They just haven't been able to finish out the rest of the season. And so I think that's something that if Michigan State can show some progress there, win 5 or 6 games, I think that's kind of all you can expect out of this group, given the circumstances of roster change, of a new staff, and just of the resources they have available. And I think the greater point is going to be what this does to build for the future. How does next season, or I guess next season would be this coming season, how would 2027, 28, 29, how are those seasons going to look? I think that's what this season is going to be judged in, sort of the context of and this foundational look.
It's Connor Eargood from the Detroit News covering Michigan State. Connor, we appreciate the time. Great stuff there, and we'll talk again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Connor.
That is Connor Eargood from the Detroit News, and that is the Michigan State Spartans.
Oof. A lot more not this year questions.
Yeah, I don't think you can look at that roster and say, I think he's got a very realistic expectation of like, hey, a bowl game would be a big win.
Yeah.
Like getting to a bowl game is a big accomplishment, as we all well know around here.
Do you have their schedule right there?
I do have it right in front of me.
Can you tell me their schedule? I'm going to look it up too.
Real quick, before I get to the schedule, he was talking about sacks. You asked him the question about getting pressure on the quarterback. The thing that I want to just bring up last year about one of the things I think will be the biggest difference for Nebraska this year is getting rid of the football quickly. Michigan State was not a good pass rushing team last year. We just heard him say it, right? And he said
they somehow got stuck. So
a lot of the pressures that they got were unearned, right? Like they weren't beating their man. To his point, what was my big pet peeve with Dylan last year?
Holding the ball too long.
Get rid of the football.
Yeah.
You know how many sacks Michigan State had against Nebraska?
7?
5.
5, yeah.
5 sacks against Nebraska last year. Get rid of the freaking football.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a problem.
How many total sacks did they have last year? Do you have that?
I don't have it in front of me.
I'll look it up.
It might be on my little handy dandy Phil Steele here. Oh, give me a total, bud. Come on,
man. 37 sacks. So they had almost a fifth of their sacks.
They had a seventh of their sacks.
That's a ridiculous percentage.
That's basically almost twice as many sacks against them as anybody else on the schedule.
Okay, so here's their schedule. Toledo, Eastern Michigan, Notre Dame for non-con. So
you have to assume Notre Dame's a loss.
In a perfect world, you go 2-1. They're at Notre Dame as well. You start with Nebraska to open your Big Ten play on September 26th. You travel to Wisconsin. You're at home against Illinois. You are at home against Northwestern. That'll be a big deal. Gosh, no bye week here yet.
At UCLA.
You're at
The bye week's
UCLA.
late.
The bye week is then you get a bye week after traveling
Yeah.
to UCLA. Then you go to Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
play at home against Washington, at home against Oregon, and then wrap up the year at Rutgers. Yeah. I mean, there's a huge possibility that a team that's trying to look for a win struggles at the last stretch of that year.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're 2-1
at UCLA, at Michigan, Washington, Oregon, at Rutgers, so even like at Rutgers is probably the most manageable, but you have to go out.
Yeah, but listen, if that's week 5, you feel a lot different about it than at the last game of the year.
Especially after playing at UCLA, at Michigan, Washington, Oregon,
and if you're not playing for anything, if you're 3-8 in that game, I mean,
let's say it's like, hey, there's no bowl game here on the table, whatever. Like, that makes.
And Rutgers could be playing. I mean, they could be 5-6 going into that.
Rutgers could be playing well. I mean, it's hard to tell with what Rutgers is going to be at any given time in the season, but
it does feel like there are not as many like push games for Michigan State. Like you could say maybe the Northwestern game, depending on how you feel about Wisconsin. Maybe again Rutgers, but I don't like where it comes at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're up to, and I'm not high on Illinois, but I don't think that they're at Illinois' level by any means.
No, I don't think Illinois will drop back that much. I think this is a very clear transition year for Michigan State.
Man, where are their 6 wins? If you can mark 6 wins from Toledo, Eastern Michigan,
Wisconsin, Northwestern.
So there's 4,
Rutgers
5, and then you have to steal Illinois, Nebraska. And I mean, Wisconsin's not. I would still favor Wisconsin in that game. Like,
Illinois was basically Illinois, Nebraska, or UCLA. You'd have to steal, or Washington.
Wow.
You'd have to steal. Washington's at home.
Yeah,
we both think Washington's going to be weird this year.
Yeah, and especially at that time of year, who knows what Washington could be? So yeah, I guess you could get that, but you would just come off of maybe getting your teeth kicked in Ann Arbor.
Yeah,
so
but at least it's a home game. Maybe it's a good game. I don't know.
Now I will say this one: there is a part of it with Fitzgerald that if it carries over, the tenacity of his team never seemed to waver.
Yeah, they won't quit.
If he can maintain that part to apply to the program, they will be competitive through 12 games.
Yep.
And they'll get up for one of these big games. Like maybe it's the Oregon game at the end of the year. Like maybe they, put all their hay bales in and set it on fire for that one.
Not sure that's going to matter.
That's true.
That's not going to matter.
It's a good team. It's a good Dan Lanning team, and he's just as crazy as Fitzgerald.
I would say, Lanning is for whatever flaws you think Lanning has. It seems like he stays pretty dialed.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe you don't like some of the play calling. Maybe you don't like some of the coaching decision making. But the roster is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
We saw this when Colorado came to town a couple years ago.
They make it personal.
Yeah, he's like, listen, we're going to show Dion where his place is in the world right now, and it was not where Oregon was, despite all the hype they were getting. Like Lanning seems like a guy that's like, hey, we're going to stay pretty dialed on this. I don't think he's not overlooking. I don't think a lot of teams. So that'll be interesting there for the end of the season. But that's Michigan State. I think Connor's right. I think a bowl game would be a.
Looking at it now, that would be a huge coup for them to get to 6.
Bowl game would be a huge accomplishment for them. Get back on the winning track.
I would be interested to see where they are when they get to their bye week. That's just a long time to not be able to reset.
I mean, you don't get it's the last day in October. Like you're 70% of the way through your season at that
and then
point.
You're staring right down the barrel at Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan, Washington, Oregon.
It's tough.
Like that's a tough stretch to come off the bye weekend too. But at least you get a little break beforehand.
A little break, and you don't travel as much for 3 straight weeks. So you kind of get November at home, but still
Michigan is not. Yeah, Michigan. That's a short trip.
Man, if you're 2-6 at that juncture, you're 2-5 at that juncture in your last 4 games. You're playing for just trying to see what you can get. That's tough.
Yeah, maybe 3. You maybe get Northwestern, so you get you break. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's like I said, the people that are high on Michigan State for this year, I do not understand.
Yeah,
I don't think the roster's there. I don't think the schedule's there. I think this is a pure transition year for Pat Fitzgerald.
I will say this though: they come off of Notre Dame, regardless of what happens. Like we said, it's probably a loss to Notre Dame. They're going to come up for Nebraska, especially being at home, Big Ten opener.
Yeah,
like
I would think so.
Fitzgerald's going to make sure that that's like a sticking point because I think he sees it too. Like again, Michigan State, you take the Nebraska bias out of it. Michigan State pulls one against Nebraska. Everything else opens up for you from there because then you're like, we're actually closer to Wisconsin. We're closer to Illinois. We're closer to all of these other ones.
Absolutely. I will say the one thing that
and not getting Iowa on here is kind of helpful for them too.
No Iowa, no Ohio State, no Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the one thing that Pat Fitzgerald has working against him in that Nebraska game is he's no longer coaching against Scott Frost. So, that math doesn't work out in his favor.
Do we have to do the ceremonial onside kick in the third quarter with Pat Fitzgerald.
Yeah, and only if it's in Ireland.
Rule goes, I got you, bud. Don't worry. And the onside up 35-3.
That is the only game they won that year.
People forget.
That is the only game Northwestern won that year.
It's a good sign that chicken fell.
It did fall down.
Yeah, you took it down.
See it, chicken. That is the show for today, but stick around for a minute. We got a little bonus coverage for you. We got Chris McGOWN. He is the new Omaha Supernovas coach. He will be joining me here in just a couple minutes as we talk about the Omaha Supernovas, his new role as head coach, and see what's going on in the volleyball world as of late. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. DB, I believe, is back tomorrow. We'll double check with him today.
Let's hope. People are going to miss it.
But we'll see what's going on there. And we'll be right back in just a few minutes with Chris McGOWN, head coach of your Omaha Supernovas.
What is your lasting memory from Nebraska? What's maybe the first thing you think of when you think about your time at Nebraska?
There's a lot of very good memories there. Obviously, that weekend in OKC is something that's going to stick with me for forever. But just being in the gym like that, our practice facilities, we've spent so much time there, like practicing throughout the summer, throughout the season. Like, you spend so much time in that practice facility. I think that's like I'm never gonna forget that gym. All the good and all the tough days. A lot of time was spent in there.
If losing weight is harder than you expected, it's not just about willpower. At Next Gen Male Medical Clinic, we build a supervised plan around your body, not someone else's. Schedule a visit at nextgenmmc.com. Let's get you moving forward.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. I'm Ravi Lulla. As you may notice, this is not either of my normal co-hosts here. This is the Omaha Supernovas' new head volleyball coach, Chris McGOWN. Coach, thanks so much for joining me. We appreciate you being here.
Ravi, great to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, this is this is the first time we've met, and I'm excited here because you've got a really interesting background, just super diverse in lots of different places. So I kind of want to start there. How do you feel like that's prepared you? Obviously, you've done the Athletes Unlimited, you've done College Men, you've done Love a little bit last year as well. We try not to say their name too loud around here. You just have a super diverse background in coaching. How do you feel like that's got you ready to take on this challenge here in Omaha?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, athletes are athletes almost anywhere you go. And so I try not to make too big a deal about, hey, these are guys or these are girls or these are pros or these are college. At the end of the day, everybody's trying to become as good as they can possibly could be. And, but I think just having gone through it, understanding a little bit about the stakes at the professional level where, this isn't about, hey, I'm competing as a student athlete and kind of my priorities are maybe a little bit mixed. At the end of the day, if you're a pro, this is your livelihood. This is your job. You've got a limited amount of time that you can be great at this job. And so you're trying to maximize everything you can there. And so just kind of understanding the emotional and physical and mental kind of burden that comes with that, with being a pro and trying to stay at a very elite level. And kind of haven't seen that in a lot of environments. I think, for me anyway, I feel like it's given me a good perspective on what the athletes are going through, what they need, and what's required of all of us as an organization, as a team to kind of win championships.
Right. Because, obviously at a certain point, the volleyball is the volleyball of it, right? But your job is to figure out a way, how do I get the best version of each person, each player, regardless of level, gender, whatever, out of that. Have you noticed, obviously the older you get, you face different challenges in your personal life, right? Whether you're an athlete or a coach or whatever. Have you noticed as you've done some of these different things and in different levels of the sport that's more challenging and like maybe you understand, maybe you do understand, hey, I'm an adult now. I understand what you're going through better than I do an 18-year-old. Like has you noticed that at all as you've gone through your different stops? Yeah,
it's been really interesting. And a lot of the athletes, I've seen them when they're straight out of college, the pros. And then I've seen them when they're like long veterans, hey, I'm in my 30s now and I've been around a bit. Got a family, a mortgage and whatever. So it's really interesting to see the change that they go through too. And just, kind of the recklessness and impetuousness of the younger people. And
white people just out of college can be a little
imagine that, and then just the perspective that they gain themselves as time goes on. And you're kind of balancing just your maturity, their maturity, and trying to help some of the younger kids along and leaning on the experience of the athletes that have been around a while. But, it's fun to see just athletes mature and kind of, especially as they get older, if they can stick around the sport as older athletes, just the level of professionalism, I think, continues to rise because they have to work that much harder physically to keep at a high level. You're peaking as a physical specimen, as a human, right around your 20s. Kind of 18 to 22 is kind of when everybody is their most physical, but it's also when you're the dumbest, right? You're making the worst choices because you're still kind of immature.
Some of us are still there,
So you're trying to, it's this battle, right? You're trying to kind of keep that physicality going because ultimately volleyball is a really physical sport. And so you're trying to balance that physicality with, hey, gaining new levels of skill and making better decisions. And so it's fun to see as athletes mature, kind of the things they go, oh, you know what? I can't just go eat anything. I can't compromise my sleep. I can't compromise my emotional stability. And so they get better at all those things. It's cool to see.
We'll get to the Omaha of this all here in just a minute, but I want to take advantage of some of your expertise here because there's a couple things I find really fascinating. First, you've had experience in I think domestically, all the different versions of pro volleyball that we have between Athletes Unlimited, Love, and now the MLV.
Yeah.
How cool has it been, or interesting, or whatever adjective you would use, to see the growth of volleyball here in the U.S. from the professional level that very recently really didn't exist at all. And in the last few years, not only do you have kind of the two competing leagues, but then you also do have Athletes Unlimited as kind of this additional professional avenue. Like, how have you seen volleyball prepare itself for this moment for professional volleyball in the United States? And B, what do you think that looks like moving forward?
Yeah, it's been obviously very exciting for those of us that are involved in the sport, kind of finally seeing this thing that we're really passionate about kind of gain a little bit more mainstream, visibility. But I think it's like any startup organization or initial kind of foray into a business where, we're kind of running these little experiments, kind of seeing, hey, what version of this catches the most attention, catches the public's interest.
Because all three of those leagues have very different structures.
Very different structures, and, very different intents of, and, business approaches. At the end of the day, obviously, we're a business and we're in this entertainment business that we're trying to, put this product out there that we think fans will enjoy. Sports is, I don't know, for me, my favorite form of entertainment, and so, but just the way that the kind of ownership models have moved into that space, and the ideas that they're, or the kind of values and intent that they've had, it's been really interesting. But for me, just the fact that people are starting to see, hey, there's value in this, and that, the sport that we love is now kind of more on a professional and public stage. It's been spectacularly, just encouraging for everybody, I think, that's involved in the sport.
I find it super interesting because I'm sort of a sports business and sports history nerd, right? So you've got the first time in a while that a major sports league has started, or multiple major sports leagues have started, without some sort of financial backing from kind of a pre-existing league, right? The WNBA had help from the NBA. The MLS had help from U.S. Soccer Federation, right? The volleyball leagues are kind of doing it, bootstrapping it on their own. And so I do think that's why you get such a diverse model, as you talked about, in terms of ownership styles and league setups and things like that. So I'm fascinated by all of that. One of the other things that I'm really fascinated by is you've got a lot of experience in the men's game. That's not something around here we have a ton of experience with, right? Obviously, University of Nebraska, Big Ten volleyball, the Supernovas, women's volleyball is huge here. You get into the mountain and western time zones, and men's volleyball starts to take a really big spot in kind of that world as well. Are you, I guess, maybe surprised isn't the right word, but are you surprised that men's volleyball hasn't seen some growth in other places, maybe at the same time as women's volleyball has, sort of on a national scale?
Well, this is where you go back historically to kind of, what are the underpinnings of women's volleyball and its growth. And we're going back to the 70s in Title IX, right? And so volleyball has been a sport that, for whatever reason, has really, really benefited from passage of Title IX. And, and so I feel like, again, we're so lucky that it kind of fit in where it did.
Yeah.
There's just no equivalent women's sport to football. The roster sizes in high school and college, there's no equivalent to that. And so volleyball was able to kind of, hey, we have to, create some equivalency here. Where are we going to go? And so volleyball kind of benefited from, Title IX and the football rosters and having these opportunities. And so that's what kind of got us started. And then obviously it's a great sport, and it really entertaining to watch, high level women's volleyball. And so it, kind of once it got its chance, I think kind of just grew on its own. The boys, I think we're starting to see more growth. Boys volleyball is actually one of the fastest growing sports at the high school level in the country right now. It's just again trying to catch up and trying to figure out its place in the world as well. And it wouldn't surprise me if we start to see more and more. And I think as you look at the club level of play here in Nebraska, more and more clubs are offering boys programs, and hey, we've got boys teams that are now coming in. And so I think again, it's such a fun sport to play, and once you get to be a little bit good at it, gets, you know, hey, this is a great game and really entertaining, and again, super physical and more physical, I think, than people imagine.
Incredibly athletic, right?
Really, really phenomenal athletes that are playing at high levels. And so that was one of the things that was best, I don't know, for me about being, when I was coaching the guys, is just we'd laugh with our staff afterwards. Just, this is the most fun you could have as a coach, because every day in practice you're just blown away.
Yeah, you just see phenomenal things,
what
right?
just happened today? Like, that guy just touched 12 feet. He jumped and touched 12 feet, you know, and he's hitting a volleyball 80 miles an hour. And you just, things where you're like, I didn't think humans could do this. And so they're doing it on a volleyball court. And so I think we're seeing more and more boys are starting to understand, hey, this is a sport that requires a lot of athleticism. It's a lot of fun. It's this team game, all the things that we like about it. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see more growth in the kind of lower Midwest as we get going.
Well, I appreciate you indulging some of my curiosities here. Let's get to the Omaha of it all. First, I guess, how did this come to be for you? I mean, obviously you got John Cook as general manager and co-owner of the Supernovas. No introduction needed for him here. Certainly, but how did that connection happen, and what ended up bringing you to Omaha?
Yeah, so my dad was kind of legend in the volleyball coaching community, and was obviously, I played for him at BYU, and then was out of coaching for a little while, kind of got back in, obviously, because of my dad. And so my dad and John had established a relationship, I want to say kind of 2010-ish, 11-ish, somewhere in there. And I think one of the best things about John as a coach, in my experience with him when he was a coach, was he was always trying to learn. And he was always trying to get better and trying to figure out, you know, where are resources where I can learn something different than my competitors or than what I know now. And so I think one of the questions he always asked was, what are they doing in men's volleyball that we could bring over to women's volleyball? And so he actually went to a coaching clinic that we did across the river in Omaha here over in Iowa, and brought his whole staff, and my dad was doing the clinic. And then after that, he invited my dad and I back to Lincoln with him, and we stayed at the house and kind of sat and just talked volleyball for the entire day in the office there. And that was kind of the start of the relationship. And so he and my dad were working together. And then later on, John and I would work together, and he'd bring me in. And during the season, obviously, especially when Jalen, because I coached Jalen when I was at BYU, he was an athlete for us during my 4 years there. And so we had this good relationship. And so I'd come in and they say, well, you know, here's what's happening. What do you see? You know, tell us what you think. And they were always incredibly open to, again, my ideas or new ideas, and where can we get a little bit better. And so we'd had that relationship for a long time. And then when John left Nebraska and became the GM here, we actually had a conversation about coaching, and the timing wasn't quite right for me last season. But I just said, hey, if the door ever opens back up again, give me a call. And so I was, I think, high on the list when the door did open. And it was an easy conversation, because I knew what was happening here in Omaha with the Supernovas, just the support from the local community, the passion of the fans, the commitment of the organization to being great. Yeah. They really at every level want to do it the right way. They want to be the best. Not just the best volleyball franchise, but the best sports franchise in all of pro sports. And so I kind of understood that. And I knew what volleyball meant to Nebraska and to the fans here. And so, that relationship that John and I had, I think, kind of made that transition pretty easy.
So obviously you're familiar with the relationship between John Cook and Coach Reyes, Jalen Reyes, as you talked about. How important, as you are, I understand, putting your staff together here in Omaha, How important has that been? And kind of tell me about how you've decided to put that staff together.
Yeah. So the very first thing, I think, even when we were having initial interviews with the front office, they said, "Hey, what would you want to do as far as staff goes?" And right off the bat, one of the things that was really important to me was to get a female coach on staff. And I just think it's critical for athlete relationships. I think it's critical for that perspective. We're coaching a women's game, and just having a female in there was a big deal for me. And so, that kind of kicked off a search for the right fit. And again, John had a relationship with Selene, and early on he said, "Hey, you should talk to her." And so, as part of the conversation, part of the kind of investigation of who might be out there, we had some initial conversations, and she all the Brazilians that I've ever been around, I love them, right? And just, they're so passionate, they're so fired up. You don't have to get them, you don't have to work to get them excited about things. They just come excited.
Bring the energy.
Yeah, exactly. Just incredible energy. And so she's got incredible energy, incredible passion. And then she, had the requisite experience. I think, again, she was a former Olympian for Brazil. She'd played 17 years maybe in Europe as a pro.
Yeah.
And so just being able to kind of lean on that experience and knowing what these athletes are going through, knowing what it takes to kind of succeed and perform at that level, I think that experience is invaluable. And her ability to then relate to these professional athletes is going to be really, really invaluable as well. And so we were excited that she was, and again, timing in life is everything. And the timing kind of fit for her, just like it fit for me. And so being able to get her was awesome. And then the organization front office team knew how much they wanted Thomas. And they'd locked him up really early on, and he's done an amazing job. Obviously stepping in last season and taking the team as far as they did. And just, he knows everyone too. And he in the sport, and he's encyclopedic in and he'll name players. Oh, and this player here and this obscure little thing. And he's a lot like Jalen in that regard. Jalen, again, encyclopedic knowledge of all things volleyball. And so Thomas is a lot the same way. And just, he's thinking about it all the time, and he's got great relationships with the athletes here. And so I think I'm super fired up for our staff.
So speaking of timing in life, what's the next few months look like for you guys? I think November is when you kind of start or looking at starting up in terms of workouts and things like that. What do the next few months look like for the Supernovas?
Yeah, well, we've signed the entire roster. And so I think that was one of the things that the front office did really, really well, is they got out in front of and kind of saw what was coming, right? Hey, league's expanding. Both leagues are expanding. Players are going to be at a premium. We need to get this done early. And so I think they did an incredibly good job of getting that done in a timely fashion. So we've got the roster completely signed. And now kind of the priority is just, one of the things that you often see is, hey, we don't have very much ramp up between the time that we report and the time that we start playing matches. And so what happens is you try to put in all this work, and if the athletes don't come in kind of physically prepared for that level of work, we'll start to see some kind of, chronic, use injuries, that sort of thing. And so the message from us has been, from kind of the start of the summer on, is, hey, we're going to have this kind of transition, but we're going to ramp up to, so that when you come in, on the start date, December 1st, you're going to be in great shape. And again, it's one of the things that organizationally you can see where the Supernovas have excelled, that we've provided them strength resources, mental strength resources, nutrition and sleep resources, a trainer, just everything kind of going into, hey, lean on these people to get good programs in place, whatever you need to be great when you show up. That's there for them. The league has kind of understood that December and January, happening pretty fast. And so they're going to allow us an OTA period in November. We're trying to see exactly what that looks like for us. but we'll probably bring athletes in early for OTAs, and again, trying to help us ramp up physically and get some systems in place and just have the athletes kind of learn, hey, here's how I'd like us to play volleyball. And, some of the little individual nuances of, hey, here's, mechanically what that might look like for you and just system wise. And so I think the OTA period is going to be a big help for us. And one of the things that's been really encouraging is when I kind of sent the word out, hey, you can come in for OTAs in November. What kind of interest would you have in that? Top to bottom, the entire roster was like, we want it, we're in, I want to work hard. And so just seeing just how fired up they are, the commitment of all the athletes to, hey, let's get in here and let's do something special with this season. It's been really encouraging.
That's awesome. That is Coach Chris McGOWN of your Omaha Supernovas. Coach, it was great to meet you. I'm sure we will talk plenty as the next few months and as the season comes up, but really appreciate your time here today and letting us get to know you a little bit.
Ravi, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again.
Absolutely. That is Coach Chris McGOWN of the Omaha Supernovas, and that is your show for today. We will be back tomorrow with more Hurrdat Sports Live.